Good evening, good morning, good afternoon, wherever you are. We are live. And for some reason, PJ maybe decided to let me have the reign once again. I don't know why, but clearly I didn't misbehave enough last time. So I might try to exploit it a little bit this time. I'm joined by my ever growing amazing friends here. We love having these geeky and just fun discussions. So I will say that this week I did a lot of work, but I've also started doing some planning. So I do have a little bit for a pick of the week, but it is not what you would think it is. But I'm going to go left, right, center. So over to Roman. What's you been up to?
Greetings, everyone. So I've been watching House of the Dragon, been unfortunately watching She-Hulk, and I watched the first 3 episodes of Andor. So it's been a busy media consumption week.
Cool.
Andor is okay. She-Hulk still sucks, and House of the Dragons is good. So that's the scale of things that I have watched this week.
That sounds good because I've started hearing from the usual suspects, and I'm trying to, although I love Friday Night Tights and the crew over there, I've been trying to branch out to the ones that are outside of that circle and see what they're also saying about this. But it seems Andor is getting winds under the wings. House of the Dragon seems to be really good.
Yeah,
but I'm saving those for binge watching. Although I did have a sneak peek at Andor and I did fall asleep.
Andor has pacing issues. That's my big complaint. And I like the world that they've created. The I don't really care about Andor himself. It's the sad part. But all the other Stellan Skarsgård is on the show, and I love him in nearly everything. So the world that they've created is cool. Now, everything you saw in the preview, none of that is in the show. At least not so far. We're only on episode 3, but I'm really hoping, and this happens with every freaking Star Wars show, I'm hoping the pacing is going to pick up because right now we're 3 episodes in and the pacing is very slow.
I'm not that far in, but I will save it for a later discussion. So let's keep Andor on a little bit of a back burner, but I do have a major issue with that.
I think it's a slow back burner.
It might be. How about you, Stephen? What have you been up to?
I've been exploring some various panels. I think it's a great idea, Jim, that you explore outside of the mega tubers. There's a whole universe out there of fans and critics that I've been exploring myself. Most of these channels are under 2,000 subscribers. And there's some interesting, brave takes where, shows like Andor and She-Hulk even are getting some counter pushback from some, notable critics that they have interesting takes on the subject. And I'm not saying that I agree one way or the other. I've kind of bailed ship on the whole thing, but I've been in some hard discussions with some of these people, and they have good evidence. And you know what? God bless them. This show found an audience. Who the hell am I to judge at this point, But
yep, totally agree.
Last night I was on a panel just as an observer. I was in this guy's chat, but at about 3:30 in the morning, he convinced me to go live with him, and I jumped there with this gentleman that I've been chatting up a bunch, Tony Stark, who does an incredible one-man show of multiple voices that he does. He does Rick and Morty. He does Dr. Evil.
That's fun.
And he's so good at it. I saw him do a Rick and Morty show solo, just him, where I lost track that it was just one person doing 2 pieces of dialogue. Wow. And it was a 3-hour show that he did in character.
That is hardcore, yeah.
Yeah, he is an amazing talent, and we were on air till 6 o'clock this morning caught a quick nap,
God,
and here
dude.
I am.
Well done. Well done. That's
So I'm becoming a bit of a YouTube rock star, but on the small side of things. So it's been interesting.
That's good.
There's a whole
yeah,
other
then-
YouTube world out there.
Don't sell yourself so short. I mean, if I'm going to be brutally honest, I don't know how I really ended up in this. Now I'm actually running a friend's StreamYard YouTube channel. And okay, yes, this is episode 53. So it's been a year. You build trust over time. You get to know each other. You respect their wishes, but you also have your opinion. I mean, for those of you that watch this channel for a long time, me and PJ, we will viciously fight out like the minute details of who would
No.
win between Spider-Man or the Hulk or
no.
Judge Dredd, all of these things. And it's that lovely balance. And again, I don't know really how it happened. I'm just
I know
here.
how it happened, and so does Valhalla, you Viking fiend.
Live life with the fullest valor. That is the only key to Valhalla.
Yep, and that's how
But
you
that's
wind
how
up
you
on
know
a
you're-
Saturday evening show.
That's right, and that's how you know you're among friends. You know, you can have a good old, knock down, drag out, quote unquote discussion about something, and everything's cool. It's just opinions. Everybody's entitled to what their opinions are. And then we just move on. And that's what I think is so great about this.
Absolutely,
Colin.
I fully agree. And I remember in the 90s, we had Doctor Who. I wasn't too much into it, and it wasn't really that broadcasted in Scandinavia, sadly. I keep rediscovering because every member here keeps pushing me, and it's like, oh, this looked really good. This was really good. That Doctor is really great. That's the best one. But what we had was, oh, who's the best one? We now have a 3-threaded line of new captains in the Star Trek universe. You had Picard, Cisco, and Janeway. Because they were sort of running at the same time. Yes. Picard and Janeway, they were literally following each other, but Cisco was a little bit of an overlapping one, but they moved the story to a completely different space and different enemies, different dangers, and the whole thing. And then you had tons of other amazing stuff. So those passionate discussions, we didn't go to the pub because, well, at that time I was kind of young and might not have been invited to a pub, but it was still really furious and passionate discussion. He-Man, Spider-Man, Hulk, Captain America, Iron Man. Even side characters that we introduced in Spider-Man, like Black Cat, and there was another female villain-ish in there. But then you had, is Black Cat to Spider-Man the same thing as Catwoman to Batman?
Mm-hmm.
And we could spend hours and hours just, who's the best? Who would win? Who would find? Heck, we even had a classic, and I think everybody in the chat and on the panel, Sylvester Stallone versus Arnold Schwarzenegger in a film. Who would win?
That was the talk back in the day. You're right.
And you start bringing up movie reference, and they're like, "Oh, did you see that move? And he could totally handle that size machine gun." And you're pulling out the lore and the references and articles that you read on the side, and he can lift over 275 pounds, dude, with one arm.
Yeah, we had to get this stuff from magazines and stuff.
Yeah. Absolutely. We didn't have Wikipedia
no internet.
to go to. Yeah, no internet. It was like you had to wait for PC Gamer or whatever, geeky stuff you had.
Starlog or one of them.
Yeah, Omni Magazine and the like.
Fangoria. Yeah, I loved that one.
You had to get your wisdom from magazines being published monthly, and
Yep.
you had to save up your candy coins to actually buy the magazine. Do you want candy or do you want a geeky comic book and like the weekly news, whatever you want to call it? Because back in the day, there was actually passionate reporting on all of these topics. It's not like today. It's like, oh, you're the wrong kind of audience, and we don't want to talk to you.
Well, there
the
was such a
reporting now is-
limited number of presses that
Well-
these people actually had editors that, you could, there was no such thing as this infinite number of bloggers like we've got today.
Right.
It was like very restricted journalism.
No, and it's super biased now as well. It wasn't just covering the topic, which is what you got back in the day. They would present you what the movie was going to be as opposed to what you get now, which might be what the movie or show is going to be about, but it's largely about how diverse the cast is, how well, the feminism is represented, and are there any toxic males in the show who need to be bashed upon?
Right.
Yeah.
I think you did a bit of tautology there. By definition, any male in the show these days is toxic and needs to be bashed.
I'm sorry.
Well,
Colin, you're 100% right.
That's not entirely true.
No, it goes around in a
Mr.
circle. But back then
Mr.
we had. Go ahead, Stephen.
Mr. Diverse Elf isn't under any sort of ridicule, and neither are any of the male orcs as well. So there is a bit of a delineation.
So I'll agree with you. I've only watched the first 2 episodes of ROP, but he's the only one that really feels elvish. There is nothing else that feels like a magical creature or a different race.
So Don Lemon Elf feels elven.
Arondir or whatever his name is.
Yep.
He's the only one that
bestest elf
feels.
ever.
Yeah. I would not have minded him being in Peter Jackson's trilogies, the first one, not the Hobbit, and I would have gone perfectly fine. I would have had the objection of, obviously that's not the world Tolkien built, but he can handle himself as an elf. And like I said, I think this was 2 weeks ago. It's if this was Dungeons and Dragons, Neverwinter Nights from the early 2000s, I would have completely gone, fantastic story, but they're trying to say this is Tolkien, and I'm going, sorry, these people rarely saw sunlight. You don't have that kind of dark skin tone. And sadly, that's why they put him in there. But I will give props to whoever that guy is. His acting skills, the way he delivers, even though the lines he has to say are weak in certain points, he's delivering them quite believably, as in he's trying to do the most with what little he have.
Yeah, I have not watched it. Mrs. of the Empire has forbade it. So I have to leave the viewing of that show to other souls. I endure She-Hulk for you, so.
Hang on, she lets you watch She-Hulk, but not.
No. It's a matter of the Tolkien lore. Mrs. of the Empire is a huge Tolkien fan, and she doesn't want the shat upon version of Tolkien. She also hates the Hobbit trilogy, as do I. She likes Peter Jackson's Lord of the Rings trilogy. That was fine. But she has, we have piles of books around the house, and she's gone and read all of his letters and all of the stuff. She is deep into the Tolkien lore, and so she objects greatly to the existence of the Rings of Power and what they are trying to do to the lore. So that's why that's not allowed. She-Hulk, she gives a rat's behind about She-Hulk. So I watch it so that I can make content. I'm certainly not enjoying it. I don't think anyone is.
Before we
I've
get
seen
too
a
far,
few.
Jim, let's hear from Colin before we pass into the main body of the
That's
show
true.
today.
We're skipping Wen here, so I would say
Oh, well,
it was
that's
like
true, too.
Well, Colin was
acknowledge
next in the sort of going around, but I don't. Are you there,
Well,
Colin?
let's have Colin
I was
first.
going to say we're not skipping when we're saving the best for last.
Exactly.
We
Oh,
always
see.
do.
Well said. Well said. Good catch.
I was saying, was it? I think Doom Corp was saying was did a stream or a video a couple of days ago. He supposedly got someone inside giving the actual viewing figures, and some of the figures he was quoting were so bloody ridiculous. I had to play back again. They were in the tens of thousands for She-Hulk.
Oh, I can believe that. I can, because I don't.
That's probably just the reviewers.
The show isn't. Yeah, exactly. Because the show is not really made for anybody.
Well, I mean, I was watching as it happened. Sargon of Akkad was doing a live stream last night, and he was actually streaming about Rings of Power and why he's dropping out of it. Which we started.
Oh, wow.
So many people seem to be. It's just, I mean, I said I've not seen any of them, but I've seen the clips, I've seen the reviews, and there's nothing about like any of those that makes me be interested in them. I mean, She-Hulk, the CGI on She-Hulk, I'm not sure it's that bad or it's that good, but I didn't realize at first. I didn't realize at first that when she's She-Hulk, that's CGI. I thought that was the actress in green paint, in green makeup.
No,
Okay, you might have a Gary Nerdrotic kind of issue there with your eyesight, but
No, I know. But once I saw the two, I mean, okay, fine. Oh, that isn't her. Okay, I realised it wasn't. But it's the CGI was either that manky.
No, the CGI is not good.
Good.
It's
and I think
it's terrible. It's not like video game bad, but it's not. It's a step up from Shrek.
Yeah. Well, yeah, but I mean, I said
cartoonishness of it.
Yeah, I said I'm literally the first one. I thought, I don't know if it was my brain going, that can't be CGI, it can't be that crap, it's got to be makeup. But until I saw the actress together, CGI as Jen, is it, and She-Hulk, I genuinely thought, is that actually the actress in makeup? Because he just didn't look CGI, if you get what I mean.
I've only really seen what Disparrow, Gary, Ass have been talking about it. Lots of others, and the screenshots, the stills. It's like you have a gorgeous looking actress. How the hell did you manage to like skew that face? But then I thought back on myself, and it might be a reveal for my pick of the week, but I followed a 3D VFX tutorial for what's this called? It's not Greatest Dad, American Family or whatever it is, like a counter to the Simpsons thing. Where you have Pete, you have Stevie, you have Brian the dog.
A Family Guy.
Family Guy. That's the one. Because I'm not thinking of it as like the American Dad, because there is that friend of his that's always like ultra patriotic and everything.
I love American Dad. It's hilarious.
Yeah. But I followed the tutorial on making a 3D model of Stevie. And I followed the measurements, and it wasn't like hand drawing. It was literally you punch numbers into several lines, like this circle will be this big, and this will be the eyeball, and this will be the pupil, and this will be a head shape and hairlines. And I looked at my final result, and I punched in exactly the same numbers as the tutorial guys did. And I kid you not, it looked like a mutilated Mona Lisa. It had no life to it whatsoever. So there is artistry in that sense. You can't follow it. And I think I understand where I'm coming from, that if you want to create stories, regardless, She-Hulk, well, I'm not going to call Rings of Power Lord of the Rings, because it isn't Lord of the Rings.
Rings
It's
of girl power.
exactly. But there is no artistry behind it. There are some visually stunning things, and I will say I like the armors, some of the stylized clothing. I like the design of ships. I like the design of the visual sets that they've done in CGI. They do look really fine, but they lack soul.
Yeah.
And we've had this discussion before, Jim, about other products. Blade Runner 2049 is a notorious one for me. It looks fantastic, but the storyline for me just falls very, very flat.
Yeah.
So you can be shiny and beautiful, but without the meat of a good story, it's just lost. It's wasted money and effort.
Yeah.
Very much
we're
agreed.
We're
Go
living
ahead,
in an
Steven.
age where art direction is almost infallible if they're given proper amount of time and a good director behind it. It's the storytelling that is still the issue. You know, the visual effects, special effects, and CGI effects are, even if they're subpar, they're still amazing looking executions.
Except on She-Hulk.
If you don't have time, well, and I wanted to mention something about that. Colin mentioned before that some of these was it you, Colin, or was it you and Jacob that were talking about the scripts being written by AI? Not to get into that specifically, but we may be witnessing She-Hulk as the first generation of beta TV shows that they plan to up-res as time moves on, and that they will up-res the show in the near future with AI technology.
I said to Jake, I'm artificial maybe. I don't think there's much intelligence involved.
Well, yeah, that's true. But it is possible, and the technology is currently available for them to up-res all of the special effects in that show and then rebroadcast it. So I don't know if that's true.
Yeah, maybe.
But the technology is available to them to do that, to make the images more
it won't help it, though, Stephen.
No, it won't. No, it won't.
The problem, I mean, the wedding episode was like a punishment. And that's saying something. When you're talking, and I mentioned this in my review, when you're talking about the worst episode of a bad show, it's pretty impressive in the level of bad that it is. And it's not bad for the usual ways. It's not bad in the ways that the first couple of episodes were bad. It was just a completely pointless plot line. And you just sat there and had to endure it for 25 minutes or whatever it was. But it didn't move anything forward. It did really nothing except for the 30-second end spot where you get a little bit of a reveal of what you may be coming in the next 3 episodes. But it's a painful thing to endure. Anyway, I'm sorry. Go ahead.
Well, everything I've seen and heard about this show suggests to me that every single thing that happens to Jen, every single bad thing that happens to Jen is her fault. She's She-Hulk in the first place because she can't keep her eyes on the road. She's too busy trying to extract information about Captain America's sex life. She's too busy looking in her bag every episode she walks into a door because she doesn't realise it's pull, not push, because she's not looking at her sign. Although my hubs would have done it, you know. She, from what I saw at the wedding, she got into a fight because she thought everything was about her. I mean, she's
not a likable character.
No,
that's
the
the other part. If you want your main character to be likable and relatable, and she is neither of those things for the superhero audience, that there is no superhero audience in this show. And I've talked about before, I don't know who the show is made for. I know it's not made for me, but I don't know who they thought they made it for. Because I don't think any of my lady friends who watch the show, my lady nerds, they have largely the same reaction that I do as to what are they doing? Why did they do the show? Bad law comedy is not a selling point.
Well, it is what Jane Theory and Ass is discussing whenever they review the episodes. It's supposed to be a comedy, fine. So you may reduce the superhero part a little bit just to make the more comedic moments, but what is it, like fifth episode now, and neither of them are saying they laughed. And if you watched Ass and Jane Theory review something, Jane Theory is a very bubbly character. She literally laughs like twice a minute at least.
Yeah, she's a sweetheart.
So she's a sweetheart, and how do you manage to drag someone like that down so hard?
No, it's impressively bad. And I don't, like I said, I don't. You think they'd like to run these things past somebody, but I don't think they did. I think they're just, you got the fanbots in the room, and they wrote their script, and they shoved it out, and they're like, here it is. This is our show. This is the way we want to do it, and it is what it is. It's not even a very interesting topic, quite honestly. The demise of Marvel at Disney Plus.
I mean, it seems that it's almost the epitome of what you seem to get these days for what they think makes strong female characters. And it's the same from what I've seen in Lord of the Rings. The main lead there is not a likable character, I think is the politest way people have put it.
Well, remember, Captain Marvel suffered from this same thing, a different version of it, but it's kind of the same concept. As you had a main character who nobody liked, and that's a tough road to hoe after that.
I mean, how many people went through that and said, "Okay, well, these are the actions and the motivations of a villain"? For Captain Marvel.
You've mentioned that before, and you're 100% right.
But damn. I was hoping Miranda was going to be in the chat because I'm going to blame her. Well, after she started mentioning things on Wednesday's thing, I fell down, I don't know if it's a rabbit hole or a black hole. I started looking for, she mentioned that there have been a couple of novels from V. So I started looking. When I'd found 18 novels on one of my ebook sites for V, I then started finding the ones that were on there for 2000 AD. Strontium Dog novels, ABC Warriors novels, Judge Dredd, Judge Anderson, loads of Anderson. What's the other one? Road Truth. Oh, it's not fair. I've got so much to read now. I've not time to watch things. I'm too busy reading. But then again, what's on these days? Well, I'm reading so much better.
So what's going on with you, Wen?
Yeah. Like Colin was saying, speaking of finding the time to watch things, it's just so hard at the moment. At the moment, we're very, very, very invested in watching Supernatural for the first time. I know, like, massively late to that party. But we're really...
You're about, what, 20 years behind on that one.
But we're absolutely...
Was it last year, or I think was it last year?
There was,
the last season, 15 years.
I know. I mean, so impressive. But we're absolutely loving it. We haven't, we just said to ourselves, we're not really interested in like the Rings of Power or any of that. Simply because, in addition to the fact that we hear the reviews from very trusted friends and sources, that we know get it the way we think about it, and are fans of the same generation of us as well. So we're kind of like quite happy to just give that one a miss. and we're quite happy with the Jackson film trilogy of Lord of the Rings. As I think you said earlier, Roman, the Hobbit trilogy was a bad idea, thinking that they were just gonna, make this massively big cash cow out of stretching that story into 3 huge films. Yeah, it's not, it's okay, but it's just nah. If I don't ever see it again, I'm good.
Right.
Don't mean to interrupt there, but I did go to one of these Comic Cons, and I did meet one of those that played dwarves doing the barrel race down the river and everything.
Mhm.
And you know him. He's gray haired, balding, has got a little bit of beard, not like me, but like very neatly trimmed. Keep forgetting his name, but I got up and got his autograph and everything and just chatted with him in a little bit. And I did say to him at that point, so yes, dwarves do come in pints. And he immediately connected that to the original one. And it was with such a speed that I understood that he knew that he was trying to deliver his best. He knew the original material. It wasn't like, oh, let me Google this joke and see where it was coming from. And it's always impressed me. That character, whenever I see him, again, I wish I remembered his name, but that kind of elevated him even further. I don't know him personally. I don't know what he's doing. Is he good guy, bad guy in real life? But the fact that he knew, he stepped into universe and he did literally the same thing as Viggo Mortensen. He read the books, he read the material, he understood what he was doing. He may not have agreed with everything he had to do. I mean, the barrels just swirling down the stream. That was
so bad.
That was literally a carnival fair thing.
And the funny thing is, the whole Hobbit trilogy thing just bored me to death. Nothing at all against the actors. I mean, the actors were fabulous.
Yeah.
They're the only reason why, the films are reasonably watchable, but at the same time, I even like people talking about different scenes from it. I can't even remember. Nothing stays with me. Whereas, like Lord of the Rings, I'm, it's cemented.
Problem. That's what, and you're right. They made it so long and convoluted and added so much other stuff that the original story of the Hobbit is lost in there somewhere.
Yeah.
And then the scenes that you do recognize, the goblin scene I saw was so terribly done. It was embarrassing and cartoonish. There was
definitely not the firepower of the CGI that Weta Workshops and Industrial Light and Magic brought out in the original one. There was just something lacking. But it's like I said, visually stunning, but it's kind of like the soul is missing. That is what it was.
I agree. It was hollow, and they tried to. The Hobbit is such a good story. I don't know why they felt they needed to tinker with it. If you had produced a one good movie that was 3 hours long, it would have been epic. It would have been, and that would have been a nice, fourth list to add to your collection, as opposed to the other. Now you have 3-hour movies which are not good, and I think it would have worked. I mean, it's not a long story. We all know that. They had to cut, Lord of the Rings, even the extended editions. When you watch that, there's still, there's just so much actual material that they had to work with. Whereas the Hobbit is, this freaking big. You can actually read the Hobbit in about that amount of time if you put some effort into it. But you can cut out the Tom Bombadil stuff, all the other, the kind of rando stuff. and it would be a good. It would be. Yeah, it just it
But,
boggles the
but
mind. They bungled it so bad.
what wasn't, and I know I highlighted Melvin's comment here, but that is in regard to Supernatural. But if we stay on The Hobbit, wasn't The Hobbit submitted by Tolkien to an editor, and the editor just went, "Nah, fuck this," and he gave it to his 12-year-old kid.
Mhm.
Read this and let me know what you think about it. That is what. Well, it might be internet rumor. I don't know if it's true.
No,
or not
I've seen the
true.
letter. I've seen the interview with the boy who wrote the letter, and the boy read the letter in the interview. So that's a legitimate claim. That really happened.
Oh.
It's good to know, but it felt fair because when I consumed it, I was also that just pre-teenage. Came across it in a public library. Yes, I know a lot of people maybe watching this stream have no clue what the library is. But it's like I wanted just a story, escapism, something. I just
Yeah,
picked
once
it up. It was
again,
like,
you would think they would have learned their lesson. Don't add material from the appendices into an existing property, because that's what they did, and that's what contaminated The Hobbit.
Yeah.
They had to
That's
do
the
it with
word
Hobbit.
for it, contamination.
Well,
Yeah.
there was no way you're going to do it. Like I said, the studio got greedy. I don't really even blame Jackson for this. One, he wasn't even supposed to be involved in the project. It was supposed to be somebody else's project. The fellow who did Pan's Labyrinth.
Del Toro.
Guillermo del Toro.
Yep.
It was supposed to be his project, and then Jackson had to come in kind of 13th hour to take over something that was already established. He couldn't fix it at that point. He's kind of had to deal with it as it was. And you know what? That thing in The Hobbit would have been better than some of the stuff we got in The Hobbit.
Oh my God,
yeah.
Pan's Labyrinth is legendary fiction.
So, but
Mhm.
now you're committed to this 3-movie deal, and you're just like, so it's hard to blame Jackson. The actors, I mean, it's hard to blame them at all. Of course, they're just kind of doing their thing. But man, that story, the writing, and all the add-on stuff, and I didn't like that. I mean, I think you talked about it before. The look of it was wrong. It didn't look like Peter Jackson's world. You got those little snippets that were good with Gandalf doing, Gandalf stuff, but
Right.
I didn't like the look of the dwarves at all. They didn't look like the dwarves in The Lord of the Rings. They was
I think
the Empire,
because it's like the guy I was talking about that I went up to get an autograph from and all that from a Comic-Con. Dude, this is like 7'5".
You're talking about Graham McTavish?
McTavish, yes, that is the guy. He's like super tall, and they decided, oh, let's hire you to play a dwarf that is like maximum 4'6".
Right. Yeah, well, they did the same thing with Gimli. He was a gigantic man so that he could be in scale with the hobbits.
Yeah, but they had the passion, the desire. That literally the first thing you see in the Fellowship of the Ring is Elijah Wood and Ian McKellen. Ian McKellen is riding this cart coming down this road, and Elijah Wood is jumping off from a ledge or what ledge, whatever you want to call it. It's literally like a ditch or something onto it. But they done the physical thing so that the cart is actually a lot deeper. So he's really jumping onto the far back, and Ian McKellen is just looking to his right, but Elijah Wood is like 6 feet behind him. Very clever, passionate, detailed cinematography. And this is why Peter Jackson is so amazing at this.
There was just such a sense of sheer reverence with the Lord of the Rings films. You felt like they were honored to be telling that story, and they took it upon themselves to to honor it in the best way that they could. and to enhance the ability of, you know, the storytelling element with the effects that they had, the costumes, the casting, the direction. It just felt so right. But again, you know, the Hobbit just felt like, you know, jumping the shark time already. You know, it was like, you know, as you said, Roman, I think a one-off film, an extra, you know, with extra time, that would have been a much better advised. But it was obviously, it felt like a studio decision rather than a creative decision. Ka-ching, you know, let's just make 3 huge films and rake in money. And that was you know, I think that's probably spectacularly backfired.
Yeah, there's a
I would
lot
have thought.
of extra material on the Hobbit discs that I was able to catch. And the story goes that Warner Brothers wanted 3 films, so that would be 6 films as a full body. The other thing that they wanted was Weta Workshop to continue working at exactly the same prices they worked when they were slaving away on Lord of the Rings. And Weta was like, no, we can't do that. These are all fully paid professional artists now that are professionals in their own right. And I won't be able to get back the same staff for the same price. And they're like, oh, well, then I guess we won't go with Weta Workshop. So Peter Jackson agreed to the trilogy and agreed to a modified price structure to keep his people working. So there was no passion. It was a bit of a sweatshop. And that's what happened. That's why we got the films that we got, was because of that. So it wasn't just production interference. It was financial interference and passion, artistic interference.
Well, I think it does. It doesn't help. You're taking. You've got you've got a trilogy, and you're trying to make 3 films out of a book which is about the size of one of the original volumes, not books, not the 3 books that Lord of the Rings was broken into. Lord of the Rings is broken into 7 sections, and about a 7th of the size of Lord of the Rings.
Yeah,
I think.
Yeah, and you turned it into a 9-hour nightmare.
Yeah.
Yeah, you could call it a novella. The Hobbit is almost a novella. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, slightly longer than Man in the High Castle is The Hobbit.
That's pretty funny.
But then again, the Man in the High Castle, how many seasons did that have?
That had 4 seasons. But that was the source material was very brief for that. But I have to throw the but in. I think the first 3 seasons of the show are better than they took that foundation and they built on it. They didn't.
Yeah.
They didn't.
Yeah, they did.
Built on it. Now season 4, they crapped all over it. I don't know what the hell happened in season 4. I can't even attempt to defend it. But seasons 1 through 3, I can defend very well. Philip K. Dick, and Stephen, we talked about this at length on the show. Philip K. Dick was great at building foundations for others later on to come upon and expand on. Sometimes they do a good job. Blade Runner, obviously. Total Recall was fun. Minority Report, Man on the High Castle. But then you have others that don't necessarily work out as well. This was an example of The Hobbit isn't even really foundational material. It is just the material. You don't need to build on The Hobbit. The Hobbit is fantastic in its original form and works really in, from beginning, middle to end. You don't need anything else. Whereas the Philip K. Dick stuff, you really did need to flesh that out. Otherwise, a 10-minute commercial.
Robert, you're talking about 2 different creator styles here. It's I think Peter Jackson went completely wrong with what he did with The Hobbit.
Yes.
But on the other end, you have Philip K. Dick. And if you look at it, it's a novella. It's literally a short story. Do Androids Dream of Electric Sheep? It is like, was it 7 pages? And they managed to make Blade Runner after that, like 35 years ago.
Just amazing foundational material, and that worked really well for what they did with those worlds. Whereas with The Hobbit, like I said, they didn't need to tinker with it. It was perfect, and it was short enough so you didn't need to worry about what you had to cut out of cut out of it, and adding things into it. We saw the result of that. There are other examples where they did a good job with that. The Thing, which I could talk about The Thing for like 27 hours.
Yeah.
Oh, yes.
The story Who Goes There is a novella. It's a very short story.
Mhm.
But the 1951 movie, I kind of push aside because I enjoyed it, but it really isn't based on the source material. The 1982 movie, however, is
it's Kurt Russell. Kurt Russell brings it to life.
He does.
Again,
On his
it's
hat.
having that foundational material to expand on, and The Thing really did work very well. Given if you have ever read Who Goes There, you'll see, yeah, that's actually pretty much it. With a change here or there, but it worked out really nicely. And then that's also a really short book, but they didn't expand it into an 8-hour universe because that would have been terrible.
Yeah, exactly.
But now we go coming back full circle to the Rings of Power, which is based on almost nothing, where they've taken to say they've taken liberty with it is a great understatement.
I'm gonna have to be rude here and just like jump in. One of the most recent, although it's more than a decade ago, and yes, that shows probably how old, well, at least I am. I mean, all of you guys look fantastically young. It's like you're in perfect teens. You could belong in the Dallas soap opera, whatever it is, shiny, sparkling light and everything. But it is The Martian. I'm not sure if any one of you watched it, but it's Matt Damon stranded on Mars.
The Martian.
Yeah, but it is fantastically written.
Very good.
Yeah, it is fantastically written. It actually started as a blog post.
Wow.
A blog post. A guy was just putting something out at blogspot.google.com. And it's like, oh, I got stuck on Mars because everybody else fucked off. They left me alone on Mars, and I had to kind of figure out how to live. The film, I mean, I don't understand. You had amazing source material from the blog post, and you're literally 5 minutes into the film, and they went from, oh, they fucked off and left me here on day 6, whereas the film goes, oh, this is day 19. I'm just going, that's right. Hang on. The original book says you were told to abandon the project on day 6, but the film just goes, nah, this will be fine. Day 19. You have a scientific base to the story. Days, date, numbers, mathematical figures, everything would matter. If you're day 19 rather than day 6, you lost 2 weeks and 1 day.
Mm-hmm.
You lost 2 weeks and 1 day, which would matter to the scientific process there, because you have a lot less numbers to work with, which is the key concept of the Martian, because he needs to build a potato farm to grow crops, food for himself, to survive to a certain number of days. But despite the 2 weeks and 1 day, somehow he still managed to meet the exact numbers of days in the book. And it's like just sheer laziness. It's why are they treating the audience as so unintelligent? It's like, don't worry, it'll be fine. You can grow potatoes in like 2 days. Perfect, fine. Yeah, you can go. It might just be me that I didn't grow up in a major metropolitan city until I was like 33.
Mhm.
I was on the farm side. It was like, okay, it's like potatoes. Yes, we need them out between somewhere between March and first week in May. And then we will have enough potatoes to carry us through the winter. And we might be able to save some of them to plant the crops for the next spring. It's like, these guys must be living so far in the center of that Silicon Valley thing. It's like, oh, electricity is cut out. It's like, oh, don't worry, I have like a solar powered battery USB charger. Like, no, that's not how it works. If there is no water, if there's no electricity, if you can't run your equipment, the crop will die.
But these are the kind of people, they've probably written kind of people that think the milk comes from the supermarket.
Yep.
Oh, yeah. I'll reveal my age here, Colin, but I've heard that since the 90s.
Yeah, we are part of that generation. The generation that said that, Colin, was the one before us. So we've been under that hammer for a long time. And now to be hammered from the other side of the generational equation, it's just too much for me. Getting it from both ends.
At least we know
you're not wrong.
really do come from.
Yeah. I just wanted to mention Kel Lynch just mentioned to me that Miranda's dad isn't very well this evening, so we just wanted to send some good wishes out to Miranda and her parents as well, and hope everything works out okay with her dad.
Oh yeah, definitely.
Yeah, I will echo that.
I just found out myself.
Wishes, Miranda. Our thoughts, our prayers, regardless of religion or non-religion, but our thoughts are definitely with you.
Indeed. Tough time of life. What? I'm trying to think of what else we were.
Oops.
What I've been watching lately is a lot of we're recording a lot with Mr. Hyde of the old classic horror films, but I've also been basically ringing the last drops of anything I haven't yet watched on Prime, horror wise, trying to wring out the sort of found footage trope of all the movies that are out there. Some of them you can smell a mile off that you don't want to go anywhere near them. They're that bad. But there have been a couple of good ones that did surprise me. But as far as what else we're watching, just trying to think. We are going through the season 8 Doctor Who Blu-ray set, which is John Pertwee's era, which started with Terror of the Autons, which is such a freaking awesome story. And it's got the Scooby Gang, it's got the Brig, Delgado's Master, Pertwee, Katie Manning, Sergeant Benton, and Mike Yates. It's just got like the dream team, as far as we're concerned. So we actually managed 2 episodes of Supernatural this afternoon, and the whole Terror of the Auton story tonight.
I would have to. Hold issue is not the right word. I have to slightly disagree with you there. The dream team, much as I like Katie Manning, the dream team is Sarah Jane Smith.
Oh, and it's so subjective. Do you know what, Colin?
Oh, of course it is.
Sarah
Absolutely.
Jane. Yeah, Sarah Jane, we absolutely love. She is actually my absolute favorite companion because she was my first companion. Tom and Sarah
Yep.
Tom was my first doctor and Sarah was my first companion. So it's just like forever ingrained.
Yeah.
You know, but there's some amazing magic with the wider cast, you know, of John Pertwee Sarah as well. I mean, they just work so well together, and some of the stories are great. And obviously, you had the great Roger Delgado. So we love all the classic. I mean, obviously, there was the dark times towards the end where they were basically starving the show to death and trying to kill it, you know. But a lot of those classic Doctor Who stories are just still so much fun to watch, no matter how many times we've seen them.
Yeah.
And the Blu-ray sets are fun. They've been really worth collecting as far as we're concerned. We're very careful now with what we do buy, because it's the choice. You're spoiled for choice. There's so much stuff that we want, and you basically either have to decide whether to empty your bank account and live in a box,
Yeah.
or, you know, pick and choose, you know. And we've sort of kept that going, you know, and kept, you know, getting the Doctor Who sets for now. And but yeah, so it's that's pretty much what we've been watching lately. And like I said, I've just been trying to get in some more horror movies. Does anybody else have Prime and notice that if they give you, I notice on Prime, they'll give you the IMDb score next to the movie, and all they do is put up all the crap. The IMDb crap
used to be better, because they used to actually pull the Amazon viewers, and they did filter out, because they do keep tabs. Did you actually watch the full episode? And if you watched or
the film, you mean,
left
like
a review, that counted more than someone that just watched like 2 minutes and then just like, this is pants, or this is the best thing ever.
Yeah, I've definitely bailed on quite a few of them, and like I said, I've had a couple of lucky ones where I've actually thought, well, that was actually really good. But I just noticed Kel Lynch in the chat put Amazon owns IMDb, which doesn't surprise me.
They own everything.
Yeah, pretty much. Everybody owns everything. Yeah. But it did strike me as odd that, you know, we're paying for that service, but, you know, the movies that are up there, there's some great ones up there, but it's like you have to basically be glued to the television, which most people who have a life can't do. And we can't, you know, none of us can sort of be there 24/7 to watch this stuff. And like, they'll put something good on, and then you'll stick it in the watch list, and then you get busy and you forget about it, and you go back to the watch list, and all of a sudden it's pay. All of a sudden it's pay, and you're kind of like, wait a minute.
Absolutely. This is something, when I was growing up in the 80s and 90s, you had to rush home from school or university or your work, to run home for the 16:30 showing of Red Dwarf or whatever it was, MacGyver for me.
Yay.
You had to be there on the dot. There was no, I'll record this and I'll watch it like 3.5 weeks from now.
Yeah.
You didn't have that. You had to be spot on. And public transport or car breaking down, and it's like, okay, that meant you missed the entire show. There was no recording. Yes, VHS and Betamax, they were around, but they were an absolute shit show to program. So it's like, okay, start at this second and this minute and everything. And then you just realized that when you had done it, you recorded the commercials,
Yeah,
nothing about the show.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And you overwritten your older brother's, shall we say,
And now he's pissed.
optional office code dress is not there.
Yeah, and that's if there wasn't a brownout or your mom decided to pull the plug on the TV set because she just doesn't want to have you watching it at all in the first place. So, it was never safe.
Don't bring me back
Yeah.
to that, because both my parents was fervent. If it's not raining or snowing and the sun is out,
Get out.
you're not allowed in the house.
That's
Not
right.
only that,
You're
but
outside.
do you ever notice like your mom would pick the moment that you got home from school to start watching something to run the Hoover? You're like, huh?
Yeah.
Oh,
Yeah.
why am
Coincidence
I waiting
my
all day
foot.
to watch this? Can't you Hoover in a half an hour?
It used to be face what you were talking about, Jim. It was called appointment television.
Yeah.
I mean, that point in time that I was growing up, a technology I'm so taking for granted today, I so wish they had wireless headphones
Yeah.
available. But that's like 4 decades ago. That's 4 decades ago.
Headphones.
Yeah.
We've been in, because it's been a little kind of sad times around the house, and as most of you know about that stuff.
Yeah.
Although my daughter was here this week, which was really nice, so that was a nice bounce back from all the
yay.
sad stuff. Of course, we have been eating. First, we were stress eating and drinking, and then we were sad eating and drinking, and then we were like, "Oh, the kids here eating and drinking." So I'm not well. But we were comedy. We were watching all the comedy movies, trying to cheer ourselves up.
Yeah.
So we watched My Cousin Vinny. We
Nice.
watched
Oh.
City Slickers, the first one, not the second one, the first one. And then we watched, and this was my son's option because I have to give him a vote every now and then so he doesn't rebel and burn the place down. We watched all of the Hangover movies. It was just so strange.
Weekend
That's
at
a
Bernie's is
very
another good one
classic
as well.
choice.
It was so funny. It's City Slickers held up really well. My Cousin Vinny, Fred Gwynn is the highlight of that for me.
Yes.
And then
I'm sorry, what did you
Hangover
say? A
movies.
Ute? What exactly is
Yeah,
a Ute?
What is a Ute?
Are
I'm
you
sorry.
mocking me?
But yeah,
What
I
are you-
love
It's someone that should be yeeted.
Yeah. Marissa Tomei was so awesome in that film.
Mhm.
She was so funny. Absolutely brilliant.
And the Hangover movies, you know what? They're goofy and horrible, but they're still, when you're depressed, they're pretty funny. The first
Yeah.
one, obviously, still the best one. And the third one, I actually found surprisingly good. The second one was the same as the first one, except in Thailand. But it was, it was a nice kind of lift the mood of the house to film festival, so to speak, with a lot of whiskey and beer.
Yeah. Well, indeed.
I also learned how to make smoked cocktails over the last couple of days, so that's been something new.
But you know what? I think I saw something about that on Instagram a little bit earlier this evening.
Yes.
I was scrolling down. I thought smoked cocktails. I have never heard of that.
Yeah.
was pretty cool.
When you should definitely try them out. But I do have a comment for Roman before that.
Yeah.
I don't understand this whole of a lot of. That there is no such thing when we're having fun. But back to you, when smoked cocktails are amazing.
Oh,
They're a little bit tricky.
Mm.
They involve cling wrap and involve with smoke gun, but the flavors
no,
can
I'm
be
not,
absolutely amazing.
I'll post it to our group chat on Twitter after, Jim, so you can see the set I've got. It's
Cool.
It's just golden. It makes it really easy, and there's not a lot of weirdness involved. And you get 30
Wait,
seconds.
are you
later,
infusing smoke into the drink? I'm a little lost here, Jim.
so you make
Yes, you do.
There are different methods. The one that we have, it almost looks like a little hat. You make your drink, fill it with ice, put the thing on top, and it's got a little bowl that you put your wood chips in. You blast that thing with fire, and then put a cap on it, and the smoke fills up the glass, and you let it rest for 30 or so seconds. Take it off, the smoke goes whoosh, and you take a sip, and it's like, wow, that's pretty cool.
You
It's
definitely had me at fire.
absolutely delicious, and you can do that with steak, potatoes, even veggies if you want to. I even have a specially constructed plastic container, so I can put steak, chips, veggies, drinks, whatever it is in the container. I'm just firing it up the smoke infuser, and just like Roman said, it takes literally 30 seconds, and you have
real
a
quick.
smoky flavor. You can have apple or citrus or cedar or even redwood or one of these like really rare woods, and it's just flakes. You just light them up so they start to become cindery. I'm not sure if that's a word, but you just get the
He was making up
cinder,
words.
but it blows air from a cup, so it drags the air down and puts it into the container where you have the food or the cocktail or the drink, and then it just infuses it. It's just
Jim,
amazing.
can you share our
Okay.
Twitter stuff?
Yes, I do whenever I can.
So I put it on the Let's Talk Geeky. I put the pictures on there, so if you want to take a look at them, so you can
Okay,
see
but what-
these marvelous things we're talking about. Not quite geeky, but still good.
I gotta say, my
yeah,
sci-fi
yeah.
brain is going nuts with this concept because, at some point in the past, the room was filled with natural smoke, but we stopped doing that. But dare I say, we are inventive creatures, and we are now infusing what we got rid of back into a drink that we're probably not supposed to be drinking in the first place. It's really
I'll be
blowing my
sharing
mind.
these in a couple of moments. I just need to figure out exactly how StreamYard works, but I just seen your photos, Roman. That's amazing.
Yeah, it was so simple. That was a gift from my my other son who lives up in LA. He's a young architect, and they came down to visit when my daughter was here, and he brought me a late birthday gift. And I was like, oh my goodness, this is one of the best things ever. So it's exciting.
Cool. Cool.
So that's what we've been up to. So like I said, it's been an awful lot of it. I know when you're having fun, but my system can only take so much. I don't want to. I have to go to the
Yeah.
doctor on Monday for a completely unrelated, just normal thing. I'm worried. Doc's gonna be like, so been living it up a bit, have you? Yes. Please don't admit me. I just want to get this done and we get out of here.
To quote an
But-
old modern country song, "You've been having too much fun."
I have. So that's the
there it is.
little
Yeah.
hat-looking thing with the
I
smoke
was
in
wondering
the
what
glass.
that was when it came up on Instagram. I was like, "What is that?" That
Yeah,
was
and
that was trippy.
my son has been making the old fashions, so that's his mixology treat. If it's me, it's just
Cool.
going to be a glass of whiskey with ice and smoke.
Yeah, I get like I'm just like impatient. I love the science behind it. I love the sort of chemistry behind it, but I'm sort of like do I do all these steps or do I just pour out a glass of JD? I'm going for the JD. Most of the time, by the time I'm thinking about having a little snip of JD, I'm usually too tired anyway. But I love those things. I love the artistry to them and the sort of fun of putting it all together and everything. And I just really envy people that do it. It looks like fun. I just get like super impatient with stuff like that. I have to be in the right mood to do it.
That's why you got to start at like 2:00.
Which I wouldn't need too much of a push. I wouldn't need too
So that's
much of a
the
push.
whole kit there.
Wow, that is trippy. Although you had me at fire, I was like, ooh. I can light it on fire. Oh, okay, yeah, I
That's
might
it.
give that a go.
Yeah,
But,
come
but
on.
you also get the different flavors there. So you have hickory,
Yeah.
oak, and cherry.
Yeah.
That does look good. The hickory as
The
well.
hickory was our favorite by a long shot.
Wow.
So I'm going to try to order some other wood to see what that is. The cherry was kind of weak. The oak was okay, but the hickory was like,
Yeah.
the stuff.
Yeah, I will have to admit, I've done ragouts and like spaghetti bolognese and even chilies and all that. Oak seems to be not the greatest. I don't know why, because I like oak infused salmon. But
I've
when
actually
you get
never
these kits,
done that with smoking. So, yeah, you just got to get what they send. So, like I said, I'm hoping they have maybe an apple or a pecan as well. Because when I'm like doing meat smokes, those are some of my favorites to work with, are apple and pecan.
I'm sure that
as well
there
as hickory.
is. There's got to be some hookah
Yeah.
crossover with these dried fruits and such.
Jacob Ironside's comment.
Just don't drink it while it's still on fire.
Oh,
Yeah.
that's true, Jacob. That's bad, and that's why you got to start early. You go into this process too late, someone's going to be in fuego.
Could end
Yeah,
up
you
with a
gotta commit to
Molotov
it,
cocktail instead of a.
Yeah, a Molotov cocktail is not just a smoked cocktail. You are also smoked.
Yeah. When you really want to get smoked.
So the hops,
Yeah, I would recommend anyone wanting to explore this with a smoke gun or smoke infuser, go down low and dirt cheap. Whether you want to smoke a 6-ounce sirloin steak or just add smoke infused to fish or something, just go deep and dirty. It's like, don't pay more than 15 quid. When you get more comfortable with how to use this, you will make absolutely amazing cocktails. You will make dishes taste 100 times better, and you didn't even have to light up like the barbecue in the backyard.
I love even the image. It's just so it looks like alchemy, like you've been,
Yeah.
it's
You-
it
you're
looks
not-
really
You're
cool.
not wrong. This is magic.
It's alchemical,
And-
isn't it? Yeah.
Yeah, it literally is. The smoke is just like touching the top of the whiskey or whatever cocktail you have, but it adds that little tiniest bit of something that's like,
Yeah,
oh yes.
No,
Just laughing at what Jacob put in the chat.
pushes it to the next. It's a next leveler kind of thing. So if you're working
Yeah,
with
why
a
not?
so whiskey, actually, to answer Jacob's question, I don't know. I imagine yes, because that's even like mid levels. But we had some pretty decent whiskey that we were working with, a couple of ryes.
Roman, I just grabbed one from the chat because he does have a valid question.
No, and that's what I'm
your
saying.
answer.
I had actually, I guess it's a fairly inexpensive rye, Rittenhouse rye. It's 100 proof, so it's a little on the stronger side. But that's what we used for our mixer for the first round, and then the second round we used the oh god, I'm having a PJ moment. Jack Daniel's Bonded, which is a better version of Jack Daniel's. It's not like way expensive, but it's not just off the shelf kind of stuff. And so we had that as well, and they were both just really, really good. But of course, we were making old fashions. We weren't just using straight whiskey, which I will probably experiment with later, just cause. So
it'd be interesting to know, what it does, what it tastes like.
Oh, I do it for you right now. But if I start drinking at 150 Misses of the Empire, we'll have words with me, and they won't be nice. So
I can't get the image of I can't get the image of the brandy moment between the two main characters in Gattaca when he's talking about what the surface of Titan is like all the time, all year round, and he blows cigar smoke into a brandy glass, and
Really?
it fills the top of the brandy glass with cigar smoke, and then drinks it. And I
That
can't
would-
get that image out of my head, and that's why my brain
I
went
mean, I'm
completely
a man who
sci-fi.
enjoys cigars as well. However, the wood is probably preferable to the cigar
think-
smoke.
I think
I
we've
would
lost
imagine.
Jim. We've seems to
We
have
did
knocked
lose him.
himself out.
So now we're on our own.
Yeah.
Well, I
Um,
guess he must have hit the
Trying to
beach,
get
and
back.
he's currently
Oh, no.
Vikinging.
Yeah,
PJ at
Jay-
maximum storage on stream. Oh no, something's gone terribly wrong.
oh dear. Oh dear. Jay the Deep Minded had a good comment. Just said hubby's relatives came to visit today. So
Oh.
now smoke infusing myself with a cigar and single malt.
Excellent.
Nice one.
So today on Let's Talk Geeky, we're talking cocktails.
As we do, this is the squirrel moment. We're on our way.
Yeah,
So-
let's talk like drinking.
Well,
Oh
who likes
no,
to drink?
PJ
I
said
mean,
maximum storage on. Yes, that's what you were
hobbits
just
like to
reading. Yeah.
drink. Dwarves like to drink. Gandalf enjoys an occasional snort. We can bring this back. We can bring this.
Ooh,
I don't know if you can hear that.
yes, I
heard
did.
that.
The Miramar Air Show is going on, so we live fairly close. Not like super
Wow.
close, but fairly close. So we're in the flight path. Is the
We're in
Yeah.
the fly zone. Yeah,
Highway
free show.
to the danger
Danger
zone.
zone.
Florida Blair is here. You know, we've talked about this and my loathing of Top Gun, the original film. Oh, I hate it so much. Blair to Blair is here. He's another good contributor. Like working with him a lot. Thank you for being here. So what else has been going on? Not aside from me drinking and eating too much. What have we all we did the Space 1999 thing a couple weeks ago. That was a really good time. Up, hey!
There he is.
Jim's back from raiding towns and
Sky Internet decided I was talking too much sexy cooking stuff. So they was like, no, you can't do that. We're going away. I was like, I was pinging my router. It was like, why are you not responding? I was like, man, we don't want this.
Oh, so it wasn't maximum storage issues. It was maximum sexiness issues.
It was the perfection.
they're coming. They're coming. They're going to be
They
here
don't
soon.
like
They
us.
hear us.
They don't like
they're
it.
coming for all our interest. I mean, there are shows you can't talk about. Now there's food you can't talk about. And
Yeah,
soon
they're
it's going to be
worried that we're corrupting the fair youth of the world.
Good
Did you
grief.
say
Yeah.
you?
That's their job. They just
But
get-
Oh, man.
I managed to get back. I hope you didn't say anything naughty because I can't ban you because I didn't hear anything. So I can't click and it's like, get out of here.
I
No.
know nothing. I'm saying nothing.
we are making no comments on that.
Colonel Hogan.
Wonderful.
I'll give this to Jacob Ironside. I thought, but yes, saying that, you guys please keep carrying on because this is. I'm not actually bringing this up because we're approaching Pick of the Week, and I do have some cookbooks. I'm not sure if they're shown in the backside. I don't really focus them, but it is. You have to use more special techniques on them.
Hey
But
man,
you guys,
booze and food. We're on a roll. Let's do it.
I'm a Viking.
Yeah.
Are you? Well, if we have favorites, because I'm still lining them up, it is a pile of mess of Amazon delivery boxes. So I cannot go first. I literally need to like unplug them from the.
Well, then, let me just get set up here. I could go first. I have some
Ooh.
artifacts for the audience.
Yay.
Let's see. Let me get myself hooked in here, and
Lovely.
we'll go from there. Let's see how this works. If you could bring me up on screen at large.
I am trying.
You're doing great, Jim.
This
You're
is
doing
true.
great.
Everyone
Sharing
says
Yeah,
screen.
it's just an absolute boomer moment.
We all
There we
have
go.
them.
So this is artifact number 1. This is an actual Casio
real?
television set
Good
Oh
grief.
my
Oh my
goodness.
God.
Oh God, I used to
an
program them
antenna.
back in the days.
How Star Trek is that?
Yeah,
That
you can
is
see it to
so
scale.
cool. Yeah.
And you could see that this lovely toggle switch, this lovely slider switch here actually has VHF and
How-
UHF.
how
Good
cute.
grief.
Yeah.
How cute.
Super old school. So that's number
Yeah,
1.
love it.
Got
I
this
wanna know where you keep
lovely
your
little
charters.
handy dandy stand.
It's even
on
got
the
a little
back right here.
stand. Yeah, love
Nice.
it.
So you
Fancy.
could hang it out.
Oh, come on! Now you're talking. Now you're really talking.
Oh, now that looks interesting.
Now this is my father's slide rule from when he went to engineering school back in the
Oh,
mid
wow.
60s.
Oh, wow. Wow.
That's the original leather case. And I'm going to see if I can get some close-ups on the scaling
that is-
detail
Yeah, that is really cool. Means
on both sides,
absolutely
of
nothing
course.
to me, but
Yeah,
That is
it's all
impressive.
Greek to me as well.
Yeah.
But is the lovely manufacturer and
That
the
is
slider.
yeah, that's really
This is
well
actually
made.
boned ivory. This
Holy
is not a
cow.
plastic ruler.
Wow.
And
had a
this
slide
is
rule
what
Quite an
they
antique,
use to
yeah.
measure distances to go to the moon. I mean, this is what you
Yep.
saw the guys doing in all those Apollo missions. This is what
That's
they were
pretty
using.
incredible, isn't it, when you think about it?
Mm.
So this is older than
please
I
don't
am.
tell me that that is from when they went. Oh, we're programming the lander in miles, but telling the chip to count it in kilometers.
Don't blame it on the slide rule. That's administration's problem.
That case is really, really something as well.
Yeah,
It's
and
nice
you
to see
take a
things
look
like that.
inside.
We don't get that anymore.
A velvet,
Yeah,
green velvet inlay,
yeah,
and it's just thick enough to grab the slider. So
Yeah.
it drops in really, really nice and tight.
that is brilliant. Yeah, you just don't see things in cases like that. My dad had a pair of binoculars, and it's one of my fondest memories growing up when I was really little. I used to love taking those binoculars outside and using them, and he had this amazing old leather case for them, and the case was just about as cool as the actual binoculars were. That is really nice. Nice one, Stephen.
Yeah, I definitely agree. And Stephen,
Yes, sir.
I do not understand how you've managed to like psychically read my mind, because I will have something toward that angle, and I think you will surprise the entire panel. But I will give the floor to the rest of you, because I think I should definitely go last, because that is how a perfect comedian does it. You introduce a topic, you make it funny, and then you tell the rest of your show, and at the end you kick it with the punchline.
Well, we're out this week. You know, we've got nothing new. We've just had to behave ourselves this week again. So, if anybody else has got anything,
I've got a couple. I mean, aside from the drink picks, I actually I have new action figures came in, and if you follow me on other media, then you probably saw them.
yes, I saw.
But
Hmm.
let me not knock over all my stuff. So it's a new Iron Man figure. I don't
Sweet.
know.
I thought for a second he
Need
got a
to-
knife, but that's the repulsors, isn't it?
It is. Jim, can you blow me up in a non-literal fashion?
You just disrupt me trying to respond to the audience, but let's
sorry,
get
I'm
you
sorry.
on a big screen. So
Multitasking.
yeah, multitasking is something I'm not good at, except ignoring multiple people at the same time.
Yeah,
Almost
VHF
there.
and UHF. I
Oh,
know.
there
Solid
we go.
layout.
There we go.
So it's this is a new armor design based on his classic armor. So it's not a retro figure. This is what he was using, but it's a come on, camera, do your thing. There we go. So you can get a nice look at it.
Wow.
I love the helmet. It's just really cool. And I do
Yeah.
love the classic look of the armor. So that is number one.
Yeah, that was cool.
And number two is a really neat Thor. And I've got a bunch of Thors on the shelf. You know, you'll find that surprising. But it's Thor Herald of Galactus. So it is
Oh
a
my
very
God.
different looking version of the figure.
Yeah.
That looks
He
amazing.
almost looks like an elf. It's just really neat. And because I'm holding it, I can't.
It's still a
Saw the
better looking
Raven.
elf than the Rings of
When
Power.
it comes to the Ravens.
Yeah, the Raven is
I'm
cool.
trying to get to look all right on the screen, which is hard to get. But so he's got the Raven, and like I said, I just like the look of Thor himself because it doesn't look like any other Thor
No,
that I have in
definitely
my collection.
not. Not that I've
I
seen.
thought ravens were Odin's
A
birds.
bunch. So that's it for my my cools. I actually have a bunch of, like Jim, I have a bunch of Amazon boxes on the floor behind me from the other stuff that came in this week, which I'll probably get in trouble for, but that's okay. So that's it.
You like getting
Well,
in trouble,
I
Raven.
do have the cover that, sadly, and I will say that I am sadly divorced. Whatever it's called, the lady's still alive, so I'm not a widower or whatever, and she's still an amazing individual. But I'm no longer with a second individual, so I can spend all my money on whatever I want to.
Yeah.
But I'm still
Always
not gonna.
fun.
Yeah, I'm not still gonna show it just yet. Let me see if I can find the right button. Who is next on the show and tell, so to speak?
You.
It can't be me. It
Well,
definitely cannot be me.
our cousins
Well,
across the pond have been.
I hate to
Yeah.
quote the Beatles on you there, Jim, but can't buy me love.
I am pretty certain I can find something that will be approved by Roman that is like angels don't burn wings or heavy metal reference to that. But I will require a couple of seconds just to grab a couple of the boxes that I got.
I've got a
to-
quick
to
question
showcase it.
anyway. Give you a couple of minutes, Jim. Colin mentioned something earlier, and it occurred to me as well. With that Thor, I thought it was Odin that had the ravens. Why does that Thor have a raven?
I haven't read this book yet, and I need to. My friend Max MVP Max on Priestley
Yeah,
sent me a thing because he's actually read the book and he said it is really good. So
cool.
I need to get this book so I can get the reference of just what Thor is doing, the significance of the ravens. Although the ravens have often signified Odin himself. So I just need to see what it actually.
That's true.
is.
Yeah. So it looks intriguing because a few people were saying as well. I mean, that is a really cool looking Thor, and I'd be fascinated to know where the ravens, how they've included the ravens in his particular.
And I don't know how long the story arc is. So
Backstory.
it may take me a minute to cobble them all together.
But he got
without
the
spending the rest
raven. I thought he got the ravens after he gave up, after he sacrificed his eye, because Jimmy's going to correct me on the pronunciations, but Hugin and Moonin were thought and memory, I believe.
Hugin and Moonin.
Hugin and Moonin. Sounds like something you can get arrested for.
Ah, cool, Jake.
Don't worry. The pronunciations is
You want charges?
nothing you need to worry about.
You want before the big
I
next
mean,
week charges
I
you
like
do.
to know
we
the-
we
I-
went
I-
from Odin to Jotun to Wotan, which I believe is actually Richard Dawkins. He wanted Wotan to be the more pronounced. It's like, no, sorry, that was never used throughout either Scandinavian or Saxon culture. It was Odin or Jodin. There was never Wotan.
No, Wotan was
Hmm.
computer in Doctor Who, wasn't it?
Yes, it's a modern English concept that
I
the
can get
biggest
where it's coming
atheist
from.
ever, like this, here is Wotan. It's like, well, sorry,
Doesn't Wednesday supposedly come from Woden's Day?
That I think I have heard.
Odin's
Yeah.
Day, Odin's Day, Wednesday, Odin's Day, Wednesday.
Mr. Wednesday.
At some point, it's Woden, was it? Because that's what I'd heard. Because oddly enough,
right, okay.
as it happens, earlier on this afternoon, I was watching a stream from a chap who does book reviews, and he was doing a book review of American Gods.
I love American Gods.
I haven't
But
read
yeah,
it, but he was saying
this is an author that actually researched the material,
yeah,
the background, and got it correct.
I just had a bizarre crossover in this conversation, and that's the moment when Dumbo discovers that he can fly by using the feather as a magical item. That item is given to him by a bunch of ravens, isn't it?
Yeah.
And those ravens allegedly represent thought and mind or memory. That's
Ah.
incredible.
wow, I don't know that. It's been a long time since I've seen Dumbo.
Well, they don't
Yeah.
do that. They don't mention it in Dumbo. I just find it interesting that Disney would have added such a thing.
Interesting. Yeah.
Yeah.
Maybe they had some Norse scholar on the writing staff back in the day.
Mm.
But by no means. I grew up in the culture. My mom and dad taught me that. So I got American Welsh, and British Southeast. So pagan culture, perhaps, is the best way to describe it.
Hmm.
This is what mattered to us. This is what we wanted to tell you as our child. Grow up, get these principles, and carry them forward.
Did you
I
read
I don't.
American Gods, Jim?
American Gods is absolutely amazing, and
I never
because
saw the
I
series. I read the book and the follow up, a Nazi Boys.
yeah, well, I don't remember that part, but I do recall the. Was she an American slut? Or like sleeping around, but then you had the leprechaun that was an Irish god.
Yes.
And then you have Mr. Wednesday, which is actually Odin
Yep.
or Jotun. And then you had the three oracles, which they are actually dragging from Greek mythology.
It's an apropos, I
Such a
take it.
mishmash. It's
Yeah,
wonderful.
they're actually bringing them together. But you did have similar stuff in the Viking, Asgardian, Norseman mythology.
Was it the Norns, was it? Or the fortune tellers?
The fortune tellers, seers, and the whole thing, but it was a distinct difference. So if you was south of Birka, which it was called, which you could not access if you were an idiot American, so to speak. America didn't exist. It was like literally 1,000 years until Americans existed. But you needed the flat sailing ships of the Vikings to be able to access this island. And they had a lot of seers and a trading hub. This was 100 kilometers away from Uppsala, which is one of the biggest colonies or whatever it was considered. Uppsala is supposedly the one that is used in the 13 Warrior. But yeah, it is really like it's just a huge haze because nobody really knows exactly what went where and how and upside and down and what city and what chieftain. And as best as I understand it is Birka was, if you knew how to sail to Birka, you could trade with the Norsemen or the Vikings. Norsemen would be the accurate one, but and then they would spread out to the bigger, shall we say, settlements where the not kings, jarls, earls, chieftains. It's an absolute mess, and none of them, despite the few people that just went on the stone and was like tick 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 tick. It's like there's no records, no written records really what happened.
Wow. See, that's a tough one. Like my folks, you got stuff all over the place. The Romans were quite good at recording things.
Yeah.
Until they met us kings.
I know you guys messed it all up. You guys messed it all up.
Sorry, I didn't do it. It was like 1,000 years ago.
Hey, the Romans actually had Viking bodyguards. Well, they did when they were calling themselves the Byzantiums, but they still thought themselves the Romans.
I wonder
Well,
if that's where the
there's
Swiss
a
Guard
slight
comes
twist
from.
to it. There's a difference between fighting on Mediterranean soil to fighting on a frozen over lake 900 miles north of where you were trained.
Yeah. I can imagine there's a bit of a difference there.
I wonder if that's
that
the
is
origins
what
of
the
the Swiss
Vikings
Guard.
survived on.
I mean, the Roman Catholic Church has Swiss guards at the gates, don't they?
Yeah,
That's
they're,
like the Pope's Guard.
mercenaries. They're but yeah, could be. I mean, it could be where they got the idea of having foreign mercenaries as guards. Yeah, definitely.
I mean, I'm just speculating.
Yeah, I mean, it's a good thought.
And I thought for sure Loki's day would be Friday, but it's Saturday.
Really?
So no TGIF for Loki.
Wow.
I will have to give this to you, Stephen. I've been around since the 70s. I've always been told that every single day of the week is a Viking god or a Viking reference.
Mm-hmm.
But I still, to this date, 6 decades later, I just like, which one goes where?
Well, Friday was Freya's day, wasn't it?
I was told
that
Monday's
makes sense.
Moon
Freya?
Day, Tuesday's Tears Day, Wednesday's Woden's Day, Thursday's Thor's Day, Friday's Freya's Day, Saturday is Saturn from the Romans, and Sunday I think was the Sun. That I think is the ones I was taught. But
It might be the one you were told, but every single day in the Anglo-Saxon, British, English, whatever it's called today,
I mean,
however
yeah.
however it got cooked together.
Saturn,
Every single day is a Viking day.
I mean, Saturn's the one that stands out there because Monday, Moon Day, could well be a Viking reference, a pagan Viking reference to the moon. Sunday the same. So the sun and the moon can go nearly anywhere. Saturn is the only one that actually, if it is from Saturn, is not going to be Norse. But I don't know. I mean, I don't know. That's what I remember. I don't know what
Well,
would Saturn be Norse wise.
given my knowledge of what Saturn's celebrations were, I could see Loki as an easy parallel to Saturn.
Saturnalia.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah. I'm just wondering why though it would be Saturn, because I think Saturn is a Norse word. Is it, Jim? I mean, I would imagine you have a name for the planet Saturn, but I would have thought it's probably something quite different.
But this is where the Viking, the Norse, the mythology around it, the Asgard, the whole thing wouldn't have been working well with us today.
Yeah.
So you're saying Saturday, which is Lørdag, which is a I'm trying to right. It's been a very long day. I can't remember it off the top of my head. It's literally right there, but there is
Don't
like
worry,
a
Jim. I
Viking
know the
god
feeling.
called there is a Viking Norse guardian, Asgardian god with something similar.
Yeah, I'm
So
looking at the list right
all
now.
the seven.
Every single
Yeah.
day of the week does have a correlation. Let me see. This is Triste is Tuesday, which relates to Mars in the
Mhm.
Mediterranean calendar, and Mandarg. I'm definitely
Mondag.
butchering that name.
They're probably more like it in German because it's Montag, Dienstag. I think it's Wontag in German.
It is in regards to the moon. It's literally the cheapest god you can get in the Norse mythology.
Yeah. Interestingly enough, I'm not seeing it. Sol is the goddess of the Norse mythology of the sun. Sol.
Which is
I got
Sundag, which is
Yeah, there you go.
Sunday.
Yeah, I figured we should follow all the way through with this. Thor is Thursday, Friday is Freya. Yeah.
Actually,
And-
it's Frey because there was sexist back in the day. So Frey and his twin sister, Freya. And you will please do Google this. There was Frey and Freya. They were the only twin gods in the entire Norse mythology. But Fredag was actually after Frey, not Freya.
And I have to make a correction according to the list I just brought up here on some Viking lore wiki. It says that Saturday was actually I'm going to spell it out. Laugardagr
Logerted.
is Saturday, not Loki, according to this list.
Yeah, Loki for me, as someone that speaks native Scandinavian, would have been closer to Tuesdays.
Yeah, I find this correlation very fascinating.
It's an odd step because in Scandinavian, Tuesday is T's dog. Dog
Yes.
means day, but teas, all you people speaking English, if I say teas,
Mm-hmm.
are you getting something? I'm saying I am tease you.
No.
Yes, I either think about drinking teas or being teased.
Exactly. And what is Loki the god of?
Mischief.
Oh, I see. I've got. Well, I mean, I've got several ones I put on. When I was looking at TIW, I think there was the week that. No, that's wrong. Hold on. Oh, God, why can I not find a simple answer to a simple question? I've got several, and they're leading me all up to the Roman this, and I don't want to know this. I want to know what Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, Saturday, and Sunday get their names from. I know what most of the well, I'll rephrase that.
Wow.
I think I know what most of the Viking connections are. The ones that I can't immediately see Norse connections are the ones that I don't.
Yeah, I'm looking up the archangels list because there's a parallel archangels list in Catholicism, where Sunday is Michael, Saturday is Cassiel, and Aniel is Friday, Sachiel is Thursday, Wednesday is Raphael, Camiel is Tuesday, Gabriel is Monday. Yeah, so there's a parallel to all these pantheons.
Gabriel's Monday.
There's a parallel, but how do these names actually make it? I mean,
They're linguistic. They're etymology. They're etymological.
It is very tricky and it's very unique. And
yeah, it's
all I can say from my perspective is, according to Wikipedia, the Vikings were only around for like 70 years or like 120 years. So it's like they were not around for any amount of time whatsoever. Yet every weekday, every day that they were saying it's based on Viking Norse mythology. There's a lot of enforcement in the world. And I'm not going to go all this Sargon of Akkad or Lotus Eaters or whatever it is. But apparently the Vikings had a certain persuasion in saying, this whole concept does not look like a good idea. We're going to spend the next 1,000 years spending money stopping it.
It's I mean I can see some of them coming up. As you saying Saturday honours Saturn. In Norse and Danish, it is Lordag and Lordag, as you said. I mean, I don't speak Norse, close connection, but it's really, really odd. Most of them seem to be coming up with the ones I thought they were, but I think they've been through back and forth as well. I mean, English is a language. It's got so many different components to it.
In my studies of astrology, there is definitely a hard parallel to the name of the planet and the days of the week. I don't know how it correlates or who came up with it in the first place, but there must be a cyclical component to the naming of the days in correlation to the moon for Monday, the sun for Sunday, and so on. Mars, I think, was Tuesday, if I recall. But
no. I think
Mercury
you're
is
now
Wednesday.
stepping up on a higher level because now we're talking about months, not the days.
Well, Monday.
Because Mars is the third month of the year.
Yeah, but
yes, but the planets are also correlated to the days of the week, not the astrological signs, which are correlated to the months, and they have rulers, which are the planets.
Is TQ a god of war, Jim?
March is the god of war, isn't he?
No,
Venus
in
is
Viking, Tew, T-I-W.
Mars
Is that
Mars is the god of war.
But is Tew, or however you pronounce it, T-I-W, is that or Tyr, T-Y-R? Tyr's the one who's got, he's the one-handed god, isn't he? Isn't Tyr?
yeah, it's the blacksmith.
Yeah, Tyr's the smith.
Oh,
isn't he?
now you're making me think on a Saturday evening, almost at like 10
No,
o'clock. And I was like, but yes,
T-I-W
he is a blacksmith that lost
Yeah.
his hand by accident, if I remember it correctly. And it is Steve. I will have to Google this because I know we're live, but I will have to Google this to just like double check my own memory.
No, because I've got two versions. One is Tyr and one is Tew, which is T-I-W. So if they're different deities, is Tew. I thought you mentioned earlier on Tew being a god of war or something similar, which would tie in with it being Mars. Mars being the Roman version, Tew being the Norse version. So that would make sense.
So there are so many gods in the Asgardian field, but Tyr, Tyr, is the god of Tuesday.
Right. Okay.
He was not, however, a blacksmith. I don't recall exactly what he was doing, but he was like a scholar or like learning or something like that. If my memory serves me correctly, again, I'm saying this because this is permanently on the internet now. If I remember it correctly, he was scholar, not a doer. He taught people rather than doing himself.
So I remember that about Tyr. I remember vague memories that Tyr. Oh, it's interesting enough. It's odd because Tyr being a smith, you look at a lot of smith deities are crippled in some way. Hephaestus and Vulcan. And I think the theory behind that is that smiths are really you didn't want to lose your smith, so the smith might have actually been deliberately crippled so that he couldn't move out of town, take his bits out of something rather less than PC like that. But it's, and I think we're coming at different things here as well, aren't we? So days in the week, and as I said, I mean the number of different influences on English. If we're talking the days of the week in English, I mean, oh yeah. I'm surprised. I'm surprised.
Who started this? Whose fault is this?
Jim's in charge.
Oh, you're putting me on the spot here. So,
Putting you on the spot.
Have you
Jim,
opened
you
those
were
boxes
collecting
yet, man?
books. You were supposed to be showing us
You're
some
the only Viking we
cookbooks.
know.
It's a tough crowd tonight.
You bring out one
I'm pretty
figure,
certain
just
this. I'm
falls
trying.
apart.
I'm trying to keep up with the amazing comments that there is in the chat from Blair to Blair, and we have Joy the Deep Minded. You give amazing feedback and it jumping in there, and this is why I love doing this. But going back to Colin's comment there, it's the best way I can describe it is I have been trying to understand since the 1970s what the fuck are the Viking gods. And that is literally the nicest
is a title
way.
of a book, if I ever heard one.
Yeah, that is literally the nicest way I can describe it. Thor, Thursday, God of Thunder. Okay. I can kind of get that gist. Odin, Wednesdays. One-eyed, sacrificed his eye, has two ravens flying around and spying on everybody. where the fuck do I place this in some kind of like a human rationale? And then you have Loki, which for me is a Tuesday. It's like you recovered through the weekend, and Monday is literally like, fuck, I have all of this backlog of everything I need to do over the weekend.
Yeah.
And Tuesday, everything just goes wrong. That is Loki day for me. I'm pretty certain I have that one completely misinterpreted, and some proper Viking Norseman historian will actually correct me on that and say, oh, it's actually that day. But for me, Tuesday is Loki day. Because I'm literally checked out completely. It's like I'm not trusting anyone sending an email to me on a Tuesday whatsoever.
I
Don't
can't speak
care how
directly
long I know you.
To Norse mythology, and actually, quite honestly, I can't speak too very strongly towards Catholic pantheons as well. And Catholics do have pantheons. All of you theologists out there, it is a reality. They have a pantheon of saints, a pantheon of angels. It's still there. Those old records are still there. But I can speak very strongly about the mechanisms in astrology, and the days of the week and the 12 months of the year were practical events. These gods were celebrated because they were practical mental constructs that we used. So Odin being in the middle of the week may literally be like, okay, we're halfway through this. Gather your thoughts, gather your ideas. Let's head towards the weekend. And that's Odin ruling the body, right? Getting over the hump of the week, and so on. I would bet, and I'm speculating on that definition, but I would bet that there is a simple, practical definition that has to do with the common person's ambitions over the course of a week. And these, when you lost your way, you would look to what day of the week and what god represented that day of the week as to, well, what the hell am I supposed to do now? It's Wednesday. Well, follow Odin's way. And you follow Odin's way and you lead to Thursday.
I'm actually with you on that one, Stephen, because the biggest hindrance the Roman Empire ever faced was actually the barbarian from the north. I mean, they managed to get a foothold on the British Isles, but they never really managed to get hold of Scandinavia, which is where the so-called barbarians were from. But the actual barbarians throughout history were actually from Germany, Poland, part of Russia, Czechoslovakia, even northern part of Italy, which is supposed to have been Roman Empire.
Yes. Yeah, what we're looking at is a condensing, an overlapping, and a translucent stack of multiple pantheons. That's what's coming to us as history has passed. Catholicism and Christianity really did a number on Europe. I mean, Italy lost all of their pantheon. You know, the Catholics just basically adopted it. And then a few years later, they told everybody that they were Satanists for believing such a thing. And that was it. They pretty much decimated whatever. And that's what Tolkien was trying to do in his country, was try to resurrect this concept of these older forces that had been just obliterated by Christendom.
Well, the whole reason we talk about the Germanic family of languages is that Germania wasn't Germany. Germania was basically everything north of the Rhine that the Romans couldn't conquer.
Right.
Literally, the Rhine was the northern. I can't remember exactly how far it goes, but I know the Rhine was the northern limit. I mean, one of the reasons that the Western Roman Empire actually fell in 410 420 was that the Rhine froze over. there was a mob. There was yet another mob coming out of. And okay, boys and girls, settling in for the history lesson for today. There was there were mobs pushing out from Mongolia, from Eastern and Asia, pushing into Eastern Europe, pushing the tribe from Eastern Europe into Central, etc., etc., etc. And you've got a load of these guys stuck on the north side of the Rhine saying, please can we come in and be Roman citizens? Please can we come in? We want the protection of the Roman Empire. The Roman governors were, by this point, the Roman Empire was utterly corrupt, and they were just taking bribes left, right, and centre, and they wouldn't let them in. And they're saying, no, we're going to keep, we got bridges, we can say the bridges over the Rhine. Kind of reverse option of Operation Market Garden, come to think of it. And then the Rhine froze over, and the barbarians didn't bother with the bridges. They just came in, and that's what started, what basically ended up with Alaric sacking Rome and all the rest of it. So, yeah, the barbarians north of the empire, and that spoke Germanic or Germania, and that's why our languages, so many of our languages are German. Most European languages are either Romance languages, i.e. Latin descended, or they're German, i.e. they're Germanian descended. Apart from English, which is a mishmash of, well, everything. Here and nothing less.
Now, it's always fascinating. I learn so much, and I'm personally always been fascinated by mythology, and there is so much there. There is just so much material to absorb and learn, and I love listening, to people talk about it. You learn a lot just from listening, to people who know what they're talking about. It's brilliant. Unfortunately, it's just been one of those long days today, and I'm absolutely shattered. So I'm going to have to bid you all good night. Oh. But thank you so much for another awesome chat.
Are you trying to sneak away without actually giving us a pick of the week?
Yeah, we got nothing. We got nothing. I got a bag of crisps. That's about it.
Hands up, no
Right.
picks.
I'll give it since PJ's allowed me the full authority. Was it Walker crisps? Was it just generic crisps?
Okay, I'll tell you what it is. It's Seabrook loaded tangy sour cream and onion rings crisps. And damn, they're good.
Sounds nice. That sounds really nice.
Very naughty. I'm not supposed to have those, but there we go. I opened a beer and I had to have some crisps with the beer. It happens that way.
Cheers.
So yeah, so you guys have a great rest of the chat. Lovely to see and speak to you all.
Enjoy the
sounds
rest
really
of
good.
yours.
Well, I will recommend this stream will obviously be live. You know how long you've been here for, but the things I will show, you might like them. So rewatch it over the weekend.
Yeah, I will. Yeah. No, we were up. I was up about 6 a.m. this morning. 8 o'clock shopping trip to town to get ahead of the roving hordes of zombies. And then back here, we have work going on in our bathroom, so it looks like a bomb site. So I was like cleaning, back-breaking stuff, the sort of kind of cleaning where your wife gets into that cleaning mode and you just sort of step out of the way like, oh shit. Yeah, that was me. So I am level. Absolutely, yeah, it was like, nuke the site from orbit clean today. So yeah, so I'm just absolutely shattered. I just want to go lay down and just chill out. So I will leave you to it.
That perfectly
Thanks,
understand that.
All right, when
I will need a couple of moments to grab my stuff because
Are you
there's
still
boxes.
fucking around?
I
with that,
know,
Jim?
I know. I'm gonna come over there and open it.
Oh, come on! I'm running the
We went
stream.
through,
I'm
like,
running the
3
chat.
different religions.
I know.
You know, all
Your
the mythologies.
excuses will
The
not
Romans
be
have been conquered
tolerated.
by the barbarian hordes, and Jim still hasn't found his shit yet.
When have a
No,
great
no,
night, young lady.
Yeah,
just you
thank
wait.
you, Stephen.
Just wait until I get my axe. Then we will
Oh
start
yeah,
talking.
yeah. Now it's getting interesting. Axes, you know.
Sorry, it's your bedtime now. When you can't
It really
join.
is. Yeah, I'm a
Question is,
complete lightweight these days.
will it be a Dane axe or a sea axe? This is the question.
That
So
better be a fourth wall breaking axe too.
oh, there we go. Thanks to everybody in
now
the
I
chat
need to
as
get
well.
that.
Thanks very much, and I will see you all next week.
All right.
All right, take care,
Good night.
everybody. Good night.
Night.
Good night.
All right. Let's
Right.
do it.
Mama's gone now.
So I am the last one, am I?
Good
Holy
grief.
crap!
Yeah.
Jimmy.
This is not going to be good.
No.
But let's see. Can I find myself on the big screen or something? I don't even know what half of these buttons do. Okay, that's kind of sort of. So what I did, because I got the creative nature, so I got myself this thing.
Interesting.
And I know a lot of you are just going like, what the is that?
Tupperware box.
It is dirt cheap stuff you can get as a home inventor. So this circuit board would contain a little bit of like programming stuff, and I will just stick in a USB plug, blah, blah, blah. And I can make, where is it? There. You see the color changing?
Mm-hmm.
That is what stuff like this would do.
Wow.
So, as a second part, because obviously you see in the background different colors.
Oh,
That's
those are
cool.
LEDs.
They are LEDs, and you can program them yourself exactly how you want to do them
Wow.
through a board like this, or I'm not sure if I got the master board, but
Oh, so
This
you build
literally
your own
cost-
boards.
yeah, this has literally cost me nothing. It's like 25 quid. And this is the early part that I started to solder together or just used tape. I believe you can see it. Where the hell is it? Like the red part up there.
Mm-hmm.
That's just tape. You don't need to worry about extreme temperatures, like I'm gonna burn my fingers or anything.
Yeah,
Obviously, you need
LED
to-
runs extremely cool.
Exactly. This entire box is like 1,000 LEDs,
Oh my god.
and you could run it for a month, and you would pay like 2 cents.
Yep.
And I've seen people use LEDs when they're doing internal lighting in dioramas for modelling as well.
Yeah.
So obviously
Yeah,
they must be very low.
you-
because
you-
do that, stuck in. I mean, I've seen them do, like for example, doing explosion, where they got an LEDs, a ring of LEDs inside cotton wool,
Mm-hmm.
and that is
Yep.
then actually sunk in
Yeah.
resin. So obviously it's not going to. You don't want it to get hot.
Yeah, I would imagine
Yeah.
back in the day
Cool.
that there were flame
So-
issues with some of those old bulbs for the
Whenever,
modeling.
whenever Jim finishes this project, Stephen, you and I need to get like a bag of LSD and take a trip.
Too late.
Oh, yeah, you can't keep me uninvited from that, but
No, we're going to your house, man. What are you talking about?
hey, my home cinema is not for public exposure. But no, this box is very solid. It's got tons of stripes. You can drive them around. It has what's called breadboards, so you don't have to like focus on how do I weld one to the next and everything. You just put it into the board and just punch the pins in. You do need to like, okay, it needs to go 1 down, 3 across, and then 2 down to hit the correct one. You need to figure that out. But I've done tons of these projects before, and I'm hopefully wanting to create like something like a stormtrooper outfit or something that has the vaping machines that probably most people have seen. It's like it is producing smoke, but or fume or mist or whatever it is. By removing anything that is like alcohol, not alcohol, tobacco or bad stuff, just the stuff that give it a smoke thing. Because everybody of us have been to a concert and you've seen the smoking machines. They're just making it puff out, and then you see the laser rays that aren't really laser, but you get to see them because there is enough particles in the air to catch the ray, so you can actually see the ray. And this is literally why I got this project kit.
Wow.
That's really cool.
That is. That's
And
fascinating. I have no skill in any of these things.
I don't either, but I
You
thought,
clearly do.
well, okay. I'm curious enough to dig in, but it's this is my first box. I have not
That's
bought.
cool, man. I'm excited to see what this turns into.
I have ideas, but that is literally where I think people struggle. You can get all these LEDs, you can make your Christmas tree or whatever it is, but it's getting the idea for that project. With this one, I could probably lift up the most amazing Home Alone Christmas tree ever. This box alone, nothing outside of this box, except maybe a battery to run it. But this box alone, you have all the power you need.
Yeah,
It's
I've seen
just
some of
coming
these
up with the
projects come
idea.
to fruition, and they are fairly simple, just like a modeling kit. Well instructed, step by step, with a little bit of patience, you can achieve these extremely technical results. Yeah, exactly. Exactly.
You have that thing called patience. I lack that.
Patience, me. I'm mid-40s. I haven't found patience yet.
Oh man, Jim, I do have a question. To your left and lower on that shelf under the turtles, what is that?
Let's see if I can bring myself back up again. How the hell? Okay, so...
Yep, below the turtles. What do we got down there? Who is that?
To your left.
No, that's he's right.
Chieftains
As
that I
an
haven't
action
had
figure
time
aficionado.
to assemble yet. I'm still working. As you can see, it looks very thin there. It needs more volume. So these are the guys waiting in the curtain.
Nice, sweet. That's cool. Excellent.
Oh, nice. The villain and the master.
Yep.
These are the guys waiting in the
dude.
curtain, but I have not had the time. I'm just still working on it. And again, with
Cool.
the whole project of this, I can start doing LED
so many
lighting, building up stuff. If I can, I would love this entire thing to turn into New York City,
Oh, that'd be fucking
like
beautiful.
subway, but not even subway, like a drain or whatever it is.
Right. Classic
Put
alleyway.
Yeah,
yeah,
man.
put LEDs and whatnot to make it look good, and build like a small piece of plastic, making it look like Mike is on a skateboard, just like surfing the waves in the sewers. Projects to come.
Now that's
Yeah,
cool.
well, they have
man.
those finger skateboards now, don't they? Those they've got those toys of finger skateboards. That should be to scale.
It's probably just right scale wise.
Again, the things to explore. But hey, you guys are telling me today, I now have to go and hey, is this a thing? How does it work? Is it to scale? Will it look good? Can I build something? And then it will literally be paper mache and a lot of LEDs. And but those are the ideas I have.
Arrangement is hard. Like, I mean, my shit's just all on a shelf. I have lighting in there. It's just basically mood lighting for if I want to display them, but it's not like cool lighting like that's gonna be. My stuff just like hit the button and there's a light on. Like that's my level of monkey. Your level of monkey is way higher.
I mean, but I'm not sure if that's a positive or a negative.
Yeah, I'm trying to figure out in that form, is
just
the
call me a
term monkey a noun? Is that a verb? Is it an adjective? How are you using that word monkey?
You could use that literally.
Your
that
monkey
is
is better than
two different ways. Monkey meaning the action of monkeying something, or monkey like space monkey. You know,
Monkeying around. Isn't that like a theme tune for a popular TV show? Monkeying around.
Yeah, well, they took it from something
I
earlier
am
than
very
that.
certain
Yes.
it has to be.
but no, I'm looking forward to it. That's going to be really cool when you get all that that magic put together, dude.
Exactly. This is what like the geek job. Look at my background, and then look at Roman's background. We are collecting a lot of similar toys, but we choose to present them in a completely different way.
I need more
It-
space.
I'm trying to add value. It is not only what geek are you, how are you a geek? If someone challenged me, you're not a geek, I would just go screenshot. Right this moment, screenshot. It was like, I dare you. There's about 2,500 pounds of collectibles that you can actually see. And I haven't even built my studio yet. Roman, how much is behind you? I mean, I see Captain America's shield up there.
Oh,
It's
here,
like,
let me see if I can angle this thing a little bit. It's without.
let's see if I can bring you up on.
So you've got the all the action figures, and you know that. And then we angle up, and there's of course. Oops! I just turned the light on. Oh dear God! Stop! So we bring this up, and there's more action figures.
Oh my God!
Holy crap! You have two Captain
America.
I
have the one directly above me. Lord, there is the one that Marvel sells. The one right there, when I was in the Navy, my guys made that for me.
Wow.
And then, of course, we have Molinaire up here, and we have Iron Man's mask, and the rest of it's just like a lot of Navy and band shit. But collection-wise, I mean, you're getting the bulk of it as far as the stuff goes.
And of course, you've got the obligatory bicycle hanging from the garage ceiling.
That bicycle has been there for 15 years.
Yeah, as are all of the bicycles in anybody's garage. I've been in hundreds of garages.
That is Mrs. of the Empire's bicycle, and she's like, you can just get rid of that if you want to. And I'm like, one day there may be a time that comes when we require a vehicle that doesn't need gas because the apocalypse is coming, and that would be the vehicle. So that's the stuff. The other side of the Empire Studios is all band stuff from my time playing music. So different sides of my world.
That's quite a backdrop you got there, man.
Yeah, talking about that, Robin, we need to get together on the music part of things.
Jim and I are both fans of heavier music.
Yeah, it's been such a long time. I mean, the last time I actually had a good group of passionate people around, shall we say, the heavier music, we had the city pub guards. So, the private contractors, they're not police officers or anything. They were literally getting into physical fights.
Wow.
About who was protecting our event, because they knew our event was not going to have anything that would hurt them. Every other pub and venue in the city, they knew that there is a risk. There's someone that's going to smash a bottle across my head, or someone trying to stab me with some glass shards. But our event, they were literally fighting internally who will get the gig to protect our event.
You know who's coming to town, Jim, to my town? Iron Maiden is going to be here. I think it's next month.
Bruce Dickinson, he's coming in on his plane, isn't he? He's literally flying in.
He's probably going to be landing. Yeah, he's probably going to be landing here in San Diego. So it's gonna. I'm going to talk to Matt, the drummer, the drummer from our band, who's here most of the time, and see if we're going to go see those guys.
Yeah, I don't know. This is going to go completely like off the grid for most people. But is Nico McBrain still the drummer? I mean, I haven't kept up for a long time.
I think so, because they just put out. See, now I'm gonna have to. Oh God, Jim's got me doing homework here. I'm gonna go off screen so I can do homework real fast. I'm still here. It's just that you don't have to watch me do it.
I'm keeping you on the big screen, trying to hide behind your avatar.
Jim.
Now I'll move you back to the normal, so you're not that exposed.
So, Colin, do you have any photographs of this nothing that you're bringing to the pick of the week?
I could do, but unfortunately, I used my invisible camera. So,
and you and I need to have a quick chat at the end of the show too, Colin.
Okay.
Yeah. Colin keeps trying to hide, but both me and Mr. AWK keep sending him hardware and like support and helping him to make stuff work. And he's just going, it's like, nope, here's my bow and arrow, and I will shoot you if you get anywhere near me.
And I'll be getting practice tomorrow as well. So,
oh, do you go to a range?
The answer is yes, Jim. It's Nico is still doing that.
So Nico is still the one, yeah.
Yep, and the tour is called Legacy of the Beast World Tour.
That's kind of the 97, whatever it is, the one with the flag walking forward, isn't it? It's kind of like a tick or an homage to it. Because I know. I do apologize for anyone not familiar with Iron Maiden. Iron Maiden has had amazing zombified photographs or artistry and portraits and everything, but
very iconic,
being very poignant. But this one sounds very like this was 25 years ago.
Well, they aren't getting younger, and I always worry about this when a band brings out a big tour like this, that it might be, the culmination of their life's work kind of tour. So they did just put out a new album a couple of years ago. It's probably a year ago now, which is a really, really good album. And you worry when your heavy metal bands are putting out albums later in their career, it's going to be like, but their last two albums have been so good. So I'm excited.
Okay, I'll give you this, and I know that this channel is not
I know
potentially
we've
that
gone
much for
off the
music,
details.
but
Sorry
if I
about that,
put
everyone.
Metallica here, loaded, not reloaded, loaded. Here we have Iron Maiden. Crap! I forgot the name of it. It's Mother Russia. I hope you remember what that kind of album.
Let me find it. It's been
I
like you. I'm also,
said I wouldn't
I don't
Google
even-
it. You
I'm
just went,
like
let
100
me
years
Google
old,
it
man.
for you.
I gotta look it up. Let's see.
So loaded about
God
1996.
damn it! It just brought up a YouTube video. That's not what I wanted. So not helpful. Mother Russia, mother. And I'm on
Mother
my phone.
Russia must have been like early 90s, late 80s.
Tsarodina, I do believe. It's Russian for Mother Russia.
It was 1990. 1990. Off the
Literally spot on, right?
So yeah, that looks about right. Yeah. So No Prayer for the Dying was the album.
Yeah. And then you have the latest stuff that they did create. It's
I like I said, their last two albums I have been just a huge fan of because I have their I think I showed you, Jim, the collective work Somewhere Back in Time, which had those beautiful picture discs, and that is just
that was a good one.
best of collection maybe ever. It's so good. I'm not just a geek. I'm also a weird music guy. So
Well, I think we need to clarify this whole geek nerd thing, not to the extent that some of the maniacs do, but anybody that has a vast amount of knowledge on any particular set of subjects and is good at discoursing on them is a nerd and a geek. Period. End of sentence. You get those engineers talking about engine manifolds.
that's true.
You
That's
get those
true. They-
people
they
talking
geek out
about
on that
tire
shit.
sizes. FBI agents comparing profiling techniques. They're all geeks, every single one of them.
It's so amazing. And without doxing you, Stephen, where was your generic area where you grew up, the kind of schooling you would have got from it? So, like the people that taught you how to think, where did you come from?
Well, I come from, I was born in New York, North Shore of Long Island, and I was taught to think by my mother and father over the breakfast table in serious discussions every single weekend. My mother would make fantastic, extensive breakfasts, and my father would discourse on whatever book, film, documentary, whatever was on his mind at the time. And he would teach us to discuss things, take turns in conversations. I learned all of this before I even got into elementary school. So my education was right after that. It's Italian American heritage. My father was not a practicing Rosicrucian, but he was certainly a reading Rosicrucian. So there's that. And they were both into various schools of mysticism, just casually in reading. My mother was into arts and crafts, so I learned a lot about that. She made all of our Halloween costumes custom from scratch at our request. So there's a lot of builder in my blood as well.
First of all, I have to say thankful. That kind of a decent in-depth profile is. This is where you came from. This is what you went through, and you had supportive. We call authoritative individuals within your life. It's like, okay, we're bringing you up this way and this way and this way and that way. both, and I will reciprocate in kind, is both my parents, Jesus, God, whatever it is, like, no. We had Thor and Jotun or Wotan or Odin, Freya, Loki. We had them, but we also had the thing. It's you are responsible for getting your job done. That was literally the base level. That is your task. You know winter's coming, and it's like, oh, why can't I have fluffy blueberry muffins? It's like, you didn't do your job. That is something I learned at 3 years old, because I didn't go and pick the blueberries. Yes, I was barely able to like stumble around, but it was like, pick these things. Super easy job. I didn't even have to pick like 100 grams that couldn't even cover a family of 7. I just needed to pick a few.
Mm-hmm.
That kind of responsibility is what I consider the Viking lineage growing up. But what you describing it's you had responsibility as well, and you understood, and you did have people setting down the poles, and that is my main area. Is like, okay, rise up, or just
Yeah, well, they were both self-made people.
yeah. Well,
You
I
know,
mean,
my father was an entrepreneur. He was 1967 top salesman for Savin photocopy machines when nobody knew what a photocopy machine even
Wow.
was. And my mother and him started a business called Idem Supply way back in the 70s and sold some of the first Canon photocopy machines in the New York area. So, yeah, it's like we were self-made, and they wanted us to be self-made. They pushed us to be self-made.
but that is part of the concept. It is all the geeks, all the nerds, everyone I come across. They just today seem so self-made, but if you met me, holy crap, how long is it? 32 years ago, you would be hanging out with hot girls in the cafeteria and watching them throw like milkshakes at my head.
Yeah.
And you would actually go, yeah, fuck yeah.
Yeah, we were all part of some nerddom, definitely.
Yeah.
But before we go too far down this rabbit hole,
Yeah, I got to bail,
Roman,
guys.
are we
All
going
right,
to see
Roman.
you Monday? Do you have anything going on before Monday?
So I expect that we are going to be doing Mixtape Mondays this week. I don't know why we would not. I'm back on regular schedule now, back on regular time.
Right.
So I expect I'll be on with you guys Tuesday for Unplugged. I don't think I'm gonna be on Wednesday, but so Monday for Mixtape Mondays at 5 Pacific Standard, and then Thursday for Solving the World's Problems. I think it's going to be a WTF stream again, because I've got like a myriad of topics I want to talk about. I don't have an overarching
right.
single topic that I want to do this week. I want to do let's throw it at the wall and see what sticks kind of stuff.
Yeah, and John was tossing a concept for Monday's show that I think has a lot more legs than he's giving it. I think we could discuss it for a good hour and a half easy.
No, we probably could. And so we'll see.
I'm not sure if I'm going to feel offended here, but are you literally telling me that the last 2 shows that I've been in charge of, so to speak, you just gone and it's like the spaghetti cooking thing is like, I'm throwing them at the wall and see what sticks?
Sometimes I'm much more organized. Sometimes I got a list of topics and we're going to just pick those suckers off. Mm-hmm. So anyway, I'm going to go, but as always, this has been a lot of fun. Jim, you did a nice job of handling the reins. So thanks for managing that and not setting us ablaze. And Stephen and Colin and Wend, who's gone into the ether. It was nice seeing you guys again. and I'm glad to be back on, like I said, regular time. So on that, I will see you guys Monday if you tune in, and Tuesday I'll be hanging out with you guys again.
I'll talk to
I
you
will
soon,
try
man.
to be there. You have a great weekend, whatever is rest of it.
Right on. Thanks, guys. You take care.
Cheers.
Take care. Right, now it's
So-
just the best of the best left. Let's see who is the last one standing.
Nice. Bum, 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 bum.
2-man enter, 1-man leave.
Yeah,
But
it's strange to think that when we were younger people, when we went through our usual teen nonsense, I was kind of like the cool geek of my crowd. I wasn't really into the cooler people in my school, but among the geeks, I was kind of like the guy who defended people. I got into fistfights on behalf of nerds that were being bullied.
This is a tricky one. I'm more of Mr. Miyagi, only needing to strike when needed. But for the geek friends I had, they wanted me there more for my knowledge and curiosity and ability to solve a technological problem. So it was like I was, okay, you don't get dunked in the toilets today. And here is the project you need to become like a super wizard, like computer engineer in the future. I solved the problem for you and I showed you how to do it. Although
So not much
I
has
will have to
changed.
admit, it was. I'm not gonna claim the full credit. I just showed them how to like jump that tiny little gap, so they could build the rest. It was literally like stumbling on the floor, like punching your pinky toe on the table, and they stopped. And I just went. It was like, okay, don't stump your pinky toe on the table corner. It is literally that kind of thing. Because yes, Jim the Viking is 100% hyperbole. It's a little bit, dude. You're a bully. Back off. I'm not sure if it makes sense, but
Yeah, no, I know what you're talking about. It was an interesting world back then, and of course, I think you're about a decade younger than me, perhaps. I mean, I was in elementary school when Star
79
Wars
for
was
me.
happening. When you were a
17.
teenager.
No, 79 is when I was born.
Okay, yeah, so we are a proper decade difference between the two of us. In 1979, I was in late elementary school or mid elementary school.
So that was about 12 to 15.
Yeah, fourth, fifth, sixth grade. And Star Wars was king, except with all the jocks. And that was the divide. It was Star Wars, Star Trek versus jocks. And that was it. We all listened to the same music, though. So
Well, yeah, we did. We did. I mean, one of the most amazing films, and I know it kind of got outplaced and mismatched. It's it's not the math. It's Kevin Bacon one. It's this teenager gets forcefully dragged half across the country and has to join the school, but he got all of these fancy radio technology and everything. And he just, like us, we're just talking out loud to the ether. Whoever wants to listen to us can listen to us. They can turn it off, they can tune it in,
are
whatever
you
it is.
talking about pump up the volume?
Pump up the volume. Yes, that is the one.
Yeah, that is a movie that I highly recommend to people in the chat, and of course anybody else on the panel who hasn't seen it recently. That show is prophetic. You think about what he was doing with pirate radio, and the idea that it became almost conspiratorial with the government, trying to triangulate where the hell he was. I mean, we are in that arena for real on a global scale at this point now.
Yeah, exactly. Whereas they had the Federal Bureau of Radio, or whatever it was, like driving
FCC,
around
I think?
in.
Yeah.
They were trying to scan him down, and it was like, oh no, he like pirated some kind of poor neighbor like 200 meters away from where they were, and then he had like his satellite hookup dish, but it is just a passion that he speaks with.
Mm-hmm.
And we have everything. We have teenage suicide. We have a beauty queen literally demolishing her face because she doesn't want to be the beauty queen. You have the emo gothic chick that is just going, it's like, hang on, this is someone that's actually speaking me. It's just wow. Why are there not stories like this coming out today? Because I think if they could, they would save hundreds of thousands of young kids killing themselves.
Yeah. Instead, we get Euphoria.
Exactly. It's like,
and
cheap
I don't
platitudes.
get what programmers are even thinking, displaying such misbehavior and misconduct between people and making them so attractive at the same time. It doesn't make sense to me at all, unless we're supposed to assume that they want people to become misled. I mean, why else would you produce a show like this? It just doesn't make any sense to me. It's like nobody really wins. Everybody is a semi-villain to each other in this show. I mean, at least in Mean Girls, there was somebody you could look up to that aspired to greater heights. I just don't get it anymore. I don't get what the narrative
but
is.
Like you said, in Mean Girls, even the Queen Bee, she didn't want her dead. You just want her to like being restrained, or like, hold on, you're going too far. You did not want that school bus collision, hospital bed, every bone broken. That is not what you wanted. But they managed to push it a little bit over the top, so you went just like, okay, yeah, you deserve that, but you're okay. Walk it off. You'll be fine.
Well, Colin is talking about finishing up. Colin, I think you're feeling a little knackered.
I am, and I've got to get up tomorrow morning. I've got to get up early-ish for me tomorrow as well.
But I think we might be able to just close out the show. I mean, we're coming up on 3 hours.
Mm-hmm.
We've certainly covered.
So, Colin, I think you have some events coming up, so please promote them.
Yeah, we've got a slight change on Tuesday because, unfortunately, Alex is rather under the weather at the moment. So, since the prisoner tribute stroke Pete stream was his idea, we're going to leave that until he's fairly back and can join us on it. So Tuesday's FFSI Unplugged is just going to be an even more unplugged. Shall we say? It's just we don't have any idea at all yet. Not that that's ever stopped us before. About what we are going to be concentrating on.
Yeah, and Colin, you and I could chat about this either in a meeting room at your discretion. Please feel free to just hit me up on Discord. I'm always taking a peek to see what's going on.
Yeah,
and we could do a voice chat in there if you'd like to really nail down some ideas or at least kick some around.
I mean, to be quite honest, the whole point of Unplugged is that if someone wants to come up with an idea, we just go with it.
That's true too. And certainly we have the good old doctor to talk about.
We do. And no, we're not talking about the well, we're actually talking anything to do with BBC and this particular doctor.
No, not that doctor.
No.
That's the wrong doctor. I'm talking about double E S M I T H.
We're talking about civilization's historian.
That's right. The master of space opera.
Yep.
Yeah, I feel sorry for those of you that were massively in love with the Doctor since the origin or before that. I just seen where it's going. I'm just, holy crap! They did that to my Wheel of Time,
Well,
and it literally it went from like Icarus flying too close to the sun with his honey melted feathers and just like crashing right down. That thing that is coming, it has hit the surface, and now it's determined to dig just as far beneath the soil.
Yeah. Well, I was watching the rabbi stream before we came on, and someone put in there that apparently a trailer's been dropped for the Power of the Doctor, and no one had noticed it. And I think it may actually have been a fan trick rather than an official one, but no one had even noticed it. It's like, okay, well, I don't. Well, under Chimbles, the Power of the Doctor is to just plunge ratings so low that they look bad. They'd look bad even for the CW. But I don't care because there hasn't been any Doctor Who for the last 5 years anyway. So,
but you would think the Doctor, based on its own merit, and I know I'm keeping you guys awake far more than you would like to, but based on the own history of the Doctor,
yeah,
it should have an extreme following. Then imagine it being boosted by a successful TV show to the level of Friends, but in this case being The Big Bang Theory. You would have extremely more people being interested in it. And you just look at the viewer figure, it was like, phew. It's like, it's not even 5% of what it was before being boosted, before it was being organic, before there was any growth to it, before it was being promoted. It's like 5%. Nothing there. Nobody's interested.
Yep. Well, I'm absolutely certain now that the BBC are very, very deliberately in all their publicity, they are very deliberately trying to con people into conflating the 60th anniversary of Doctor Who with the centenary anniversary of the BBC, because they know that their current output is so unpopular. I remember I saw Doomcock again actually. Did a review of one episode of Falcon and the Winter Soldier. And there was something, I think it was some of BLM or All Cops, something like that. A line at which apparently they lost a third of their audience at one particular point in the thing. Something, if they can do that, I would. My only interest in the centenary special will be to see how many people see if they have the reverse. If they have a massive increase in numbers in the last 5 minutes to watch Jodie Whittaker go. I mean, because I'm that disinterested. I'm not even going to bother watching it for that. But I suspect a lot of people will be watching it purely to watch Jodie Whittaker regenerate, or Jodie Whittaker's Doctor regenerate.
Yeah, even the fans of the show will be watching it for that. because they want to see what the next incarnation was so that they can rub it in our collective noses.
Well, the prevailing theory going around seems to be, and I don't know if it's just people guessing or people who've got some sort of inside knowledge, that you're not going to see it. There's a number of things. I mean, there's a number of things going on apparently that apparently David Tennant has been seen, but he's been seen in a different costume. So some people are thinking that she's going to regenerate into David Tennant, and then David Tennant's going to regenerate into Ncuti Gatwa. All sorts of various ideas, but something said that maybe we were. I mean, it was great because the thing is, if she, all you see is you see her starting to regenerate, and you never see her change, then you can effectively, and if she's not back for the 60th, for the 60th, which I don't think she is, then you could effectively say, okay, well that's it, fine. Then we don't know what happened between Jodie and Ncuti. We don't need to care about it. But at the moment, I must admit, unfortunately, I'm getting less and less confident in what RTD2 is going to be like.
R2D2, good grief.
But we all know what's going to happen. It's going to be these Comic Cons or conventions and everything. And they're going to line up whoever iteration there are of the Doctors. They're going to be massive amount of queues to, what was she, 13 or whatever it was. There's going to be massive queues to the Doctors that were loved.
Yeah.
And she's going to sit there. And I don't wish that.
No, I hope
her as a person. But she's going to sit there and it's going to be like 5, 6 people maybe stepping up and wanting her autograph.
Yeah. I mean, I genuinely hope that she doesn't, because I agree. I wouldn't want that. Wouldn't wish that on her.
Because it wasn't her fault. It was like they wrote really crappy stories.
Yeah.
For her. It wasn't her acting. It wasn't her as a person. They wrote garbage.
Yeah. I mean, she was. I mean, the thing is, I did hear, or say somewhere that what Chris Chibnall wanted to do, he actually wanted to completely reboot the Doctor, so that Jodie's Doctor would have been nothing to do with the previous ones. And if they'd done that, I honestly think there would have been nowhere near the backlash there's been.
Yeah, of course. And I said the same thing about Discovery. If that was an entirely brand new science fiction TV series, nobody would have batted an eye. They may have criticized the episodes individually, but nobody would have batted an eye. It's like, okay, new series. This is the way they're going to run it. Let's watch the show.
I've thought that. I mean, a number of things. I mean, the Wheel of Time. I only know because Jim and PJ watched it and could, excuse me, could fill me in on what the where it was completely different with the books. But I wonder, a lot of these things that have come out recently, I wonder if they've got some degree of quality, which would be fine if they weren't linked to a known property.
Right.
Would The Watch have been a reasonably good fantasy police drama if it wasn't tied to Terry Pratchett?
You're asking the exact correct question at the moment, because if I had been told that Andor, that I watched last night, and I fell asleep to it because it wasn't going forward, but if you had told me in 1979, when I saw Star Wars, that this is Star Wars, I would just go and was like, why are you smoking? Can I get some? Because Andor is nothing like its universe. And that's where they're stepping apart from us. They're literally trying to like unsew the thread and trying to say that A and B is the same. It is not.
Well, the one. I mean, the only one that I know, I watched 3 episodes of the Foundation series. The Rabbi watched a lot, and the Rabbi liked it. But he's not read the books. I read the books, so I could see how completely and utterly different, how much that added in. I mean, if you think the Hobbit movies were bad, you imagine you've got the first Foundation. My copy of the first Foundation book is about 150 pages. It's an ordinary sized book, about 150 pages long, and that's 5 short stories. They made a 10-episode TV series out of that, and they had to do it for starters in such a way that I had the same characters, because I think there's maybe one character who appears in more than 2 of the novellas, and they're about 50 years apart. So so some of the ideas they brought into that were very, very clever ideas. It's just they weren't Asimov's Foundation universe. Now, so again, that could be something that could have been forgotten. A lot of these things. I mean, would Rings of Power be just another just another fantasy show, delightful if it wasn't linked to Lord of the Rings? The thing is, I had someone. I mean, someone was saying,
No, I'm gonna have to say absolutely no on Rings of Power. Rings of Power doesn't even match the minimum criteria of sword and sorcery back in the 70s and 80s. It has nothing to do with it. It's just someone that's like, hey, we got a couple of names, and hey, we can try and make him look like this because that was how it was described. But they have no story, no content, no stake. There's no risk. There's no reward. There's nothing in the story whatsoever.
Yeah, I mean, again, this seems to be what a lot of complaints from some of these things are, is that they're absolutely bland. I mean, the weird thing is, someone said, I can't remember if I picked it up from someone else, or I came up with an idea myself. I might have, but I think I know I've worked out why so many of the elves have got short hair, because the ears are the only things that make them look like elves, and if they've got long hair, you can't see the ears. And that's the only thing about them that looks in the least bit elfin.
Yeah, and that's going without saying how expensive it is to groom and maintain continuity with real wigs on camera.
Yeah. I mean, I suspect that is it more for? I suspect that the ladies, that's their own hair,
right?
Because none of it.
I'll jump in there, Stephen. I was one of those cheesy 90s rockers. I had my own hair, and holy crap, did I pay fortune to maintain it. But it was down to my bum. And I was spending hours a day just to make sure that it was straightened out, it was nice and silky, and the whole thing. So I understand that if you're going to make a 5-year TV show, holy crap, that is man hours.
Yeah.
You have $1 billion project. That's going to eat up a significant load of it.
I hate to be so cynical about it, but that is the reality of these things. That's why the costuming looks the way it does. That's why the dialogue is the way it is, because of money, money, money.
So the difference being that in general, on the whole, ladies, women tend to either wear their hair longer or don't normally mind letting it grow out. men don't normally have hair as long as the Tolkien elf. So most of the men are going to be in wigs, which, as you say, is going to lead to problems with or considerations of upkeep, etc. As I said, I mean, I suspect that in most of the ladies' cases, the actors' cases, where they've got long hair, that's probably their own hair. I could be wrong, but I would suspect that what I've generally observed are the differences between men and women. When women tend to wear their hair. So
No, you're not wrong, Colin. If you look at was it Elrond, as is displayed in ROP, he has curly hair. You can never get flat hair from that. And I'm speaking from personal experience. He would not look like Elrond in the Lord of the Rings films.
Is that
with that hairstyle? Yeah, Elrond of whatever it is.
Yeah, I don't know that. I mean, I'm like a lot of people. I'm not. I read the Lord of the Rings when I was a kid. Well, I was a teenager, but I've seen the films and I've seen the Hobbit movies, and that's it. So I don't know how much.
No, but I'm talking about the physical characters that is there. Because a lot of people have different hair. Some people that would want to have long hair, they cannot have it because their hair follicles will make it curly, and you will never ever get it flat. You can try like extreme methods like ceramic and a lot of like aesthetic studios and everything, but you will literally spring back. If I grow long hair, I will always get a lion mane. I will not get the natural flowing like silken straight strands of an elf.
Right. Yeah. It almost like the way the Asians have a fairly straight hair. My Roman hair it turns out like gigantic fat curls, just like the statue of Michael. No joke at all. That's just my Italian heritage. There's no way to get around it. So the Romans weren't elves.
Well, I mean, I know it's as I said. I mean, there's the Rings of Power seems to be just well. I mean, you see a lot of things. It seems to be just an absolute a disaster in the making. Well, I say in the making, already been made. But I do wonder if there are some things. I mean, that would actually be watchable if you're watching them as their own thing, rather than knowing where they come from. You know, I mean, it's as I said, there are some things. The problem is, of course, everything these days has to be based on something. It has to be remake of something.
Yeah.
And everything you see the advertising, I mean, as PJ was saying on Wednesday, everything you see advertising of, they never bother telling you anything about the story. It's always the diversity of this, the diversity, the representation.
But that means absolutely nothing, because
exactly.
we're talking about Tolkien, and Tolkien was exclusively extremely northern Scandinavian, and he wanted to bring that in to create a British mythology around it. He did describe other cultures as well. He was actually very progressive for his time, but it wasn't the story he was telling. It was these far northerners did this thing.
Yeah, I mean,
and he was telling it from, what is it, 70 years ago? It hasn't been 25 years before we actually got proper, hey, people can start migrate from everywhere across the globe.
Yeah.
And it's, I don't mind that they get represented or being spoken about or being mentioned. But if you take someone that, hey, I want to try and create a mythology around how it was 1,000 years ago, and then they go, oh no, we need to update it for modern audience.
God, yeah.
No. They come here because they want to hear that story. They want to hear that music. They want to hear that kind of film. They want to read that book. Because they want to hear that part, because that is interesting to them. Just as we go to their countries. Whenever I go to a place, I want to try and figure out what's going on here.
Yeah.
What is this food? What is this culture? What history do you have?
Yeah, it's crazy, and it's crazy that we get the expression cultural appropriation tossed in our face 24/7 for the last decade.
What I want to
right?
do, I want to
Meanwhile, Wheel of Time, Vikings, Lord of the Rings, Star Wars. It's like, who the hell asked you to come in and mess with our toys? Why don't you go get your own friggin' toys? It's like, I just don't.
Who was it who directed the couple of years ago version of West Side Story?
Oh, Spielberg.
Spielberg, right. Doing for cultural appropriation for Romeo and Juliet. Didn't see anybody mentioning that.
Yeah.
I mean, the other thing is I mean, as Jim was alluding to, as I understand it, Tolkien's set the entire the whole Lord in basically Northern Europe, right? And it's a medieval Northern Europe. I mean, some of these sort of things sort of stick out, like having, I don't know, a black female jarl in the Viking. Oh, hold on a second, they did that, didn't they? They stick out because they want to, instead of having the intelligence, say, well, hold on a minute. This was Tolkien's world, and Tolkien has said that there were people. Okay. Oh, excuse me. There were people from this part of. I'm not sure if Middle Earth is actually. Is Middle Earth the name of the planet, or is it the name of the continent? I'm not.
I don't think it's very relevant. We are talking about a bona fide mythology.
But no, but what I'm saying is the world. Okay, he's described this, and the world in which Middle Earth, the Lord of the Rings, etc., happens is this world. The Tolkien has written about parts of it. He's alluded to other parts where there may even be darker skinned people. Fine. Let's have people from that area, which Tolkien has only alluded to, which is an empty space. Let's have them and bring them in. Not, oh look, we'll have a black one here, we'll have a brown one there. We'll have a
In ROP, you cannot tell any one of these groups apart from anyone else. Hartford, it's like 99% black people. I was like, they're supposed to be related to the Hobbits, which is supposed to be the English countryside in the early 19th century. It's like they would literally know people traveling back and forth at that time. They would have been 99.99999% white.
Bilbo,
and suddenly there is no white hobbits, Harfoots.
Bilbo, for example, was found right. He was looked at like a lunatic because he actually left. But having said that, what I think about the one thing I saw apparently, I said on something, someone said about I gather that the Harfoots have got this habit of they wandering around, and anybody that gets left behind gets left behind. Well, I think we now know why they were extinct. Everybody got left. They kept leaving people behind until they didn't have a viable society to actually survive. They just died out of sheer compassion.
Yeah.
Yeah, but that's literally the TV show itself in the first season, in the first episode, wrote the Harfoots out as anything that could have had any historical impact to the Hobbits, because the Hobbits are perfectly content to sample a couple of ales, smoke a fine pipe of weed,
Yeah.
whatever it is. The Hobbits are literally the mirror universe to what they're trying to build the Harfoots at. And the Harfoots is like disgusting, unwashed, cannot clean themselves. They shouldn't even survive. And they're not even a community. Oh, you got stuck in a swamp? Yeah, fuck it, we'll leave you behind. And it's like, what the hell? Tolkien wrote about the universe, about people coming together, unifying people that were actually at conflict. Nobody
Subject
tosses
is so
a dwarf.
tiring because there's no right answer. It's so obvious that they're openly destroying this IP. They don't care. They're connecting it to the past material, whether we like it or not. They're going to beat us over the head if we disagree. They're going to cancel our channels if we argue against it. They just don't care. It's not about the properties anymore. It never was about the properties. They're connecting this to that so that Amazon has pennies and dimes at stake in the property. And that's it, period. And they're probably going to sue Warner Brothers for the rights to have the Lord of the Rings series on their the franchise on their platform, and they're gonna claim exclusive rights, and that's what this is all about.
Well, I think the problem is
I think you've already seen. I'm not sure who he was. That it was literally in the last 2 days. Those super fans, like, oh, this is amazing, and I'm getting smashed drunk. I'm gonna piss at the set stage, and I'm getting caught on camera pissing because I'm so drunk. I'm just like, I'm gonna piss at this like fake brickstone or whatever it was. But they have no respect for the source material, and I am one of those that I've been a fan of Tolkien since literally 1980s. It's amazing. It's inclusive. It has everything and everybody, and it has a heavier focus on the Northern Europeans and everything, but in this one they literally went out their way. It's like, oh, the white dwarves, white Numenorians, white elves. I'm sorry, we can't have them. What the?
Yeah.
You mean these super fans who apparently have not done
a single video
of Lord of the Rings in their entire
7 months?
Yeah.
I saw Az do that, and I was blown away. I thought that was absolutely a hysterical take on the whole thing.
I mean, I thought that was literally a like a meme or a joke or anything, but then I actually just like, okay, let's go look for this. It's like, yeah, these people were paid off, and since then, but it's not even during the time they were paid for it. They didn't even post that shit that they were paid for.
They didn't post anything anywhere in their social media footprint.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, if you're getting paid for something, It's like, hey, Stephen, I'll
Mhm.
give you £5 British. Let's promote PJ's channel. You'll go, okay, I'll spend 10 minutes. I'll do a tweet. I'll do an Instagram, wherever else you are, Facebook, whatever nonsense. You got paid £5 for that.
Yeah, the
You,
whole thing is
you,
just
you do
disturbing to
it.
me.
Yeah, well,
I
you,
must
you, do,
admit this.
you do it. But these guys were part of a billion-dollar project.
Right.
And in the billion-dollar project, part and parcel is the promo. These guys were definitely 5 figures kind of level to sit in front of a camera to say, oh, as a one-eyed lesbian, one-legged, you get where I'm going.
Yeah.
They got that amount of money, and not even once did they tweet or mention or Instagram or YouTube or anything. But I can guarantee you, if I gave Gary from Nerdrotic £5, hey dude, can you just say, hey, this name? He would. He would absolutely do that. If, and I will say, because he's getting like in the superstar, like stratosphere level now at the moment. It's like, what? It's like 15,000 viewers every time they go on the Friday night tight. But if he did see it, he would just gone, hey, shout out to these guys. Da, 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 boom.
Yeah.
But these guys, these super fans, what is it, like 5 of them? Not a single social media mention of Tolkien whatsoever.
Well, the odd part is that they were probably contracted to not discuss the matter after the fact as well.
No, I don't believe that. It was like, oh, hey, you got like a couple of 10, 15, 50,000 followers on Instagram. Let's bring you in. Oh, yeah, you're a sucker enough. They should have
No.
gone for Gary as critical drinker.
They couldn't.
Ryan Kinner. No, they would have been able to. They had the budget, but they chose not to because they knew that these guys would just gone, this is fucking shit.
I don't know. I'm at a loss, as a matter of at this point, I'm at a complete loss as an analyst. And like I said, my dad would go over, when I tell you, when he went over things over breakfast, the conversation was either government intrigue and subterfuge, or the pyramids of Egypt and ancient societies, or the current body of the discussion of the Kennedy assassination, or what are the UFOs and what could they possibly be needing us for? I mean, these were the conversations we had as a child over breakfast. So I am boggled by what's going on right now. I feel like I'm living through a Michael Crichton, Ian Fleming, friggin', from Hunt for the Red October spy novel. I don't know what's going on this planet right now, but it's so overt and heavy-handed that I'm at a loss to comprehend how anybody is even buying any of this. I mean, they've got
I'm on the
both
same
sides of the
level as you on
equation
that
arguing
one.
with each other.
I'm at the same level as you on that one. It's for me, and I know I was extremely young when it came out, but I'm stuck around that kind of level of 1983 V for Visitor. Are they here? Are they not here? Can I trust myself? Is the information correct? Do I know this? Do I know that? But then again, I have to play the cards that are every day in front of me, and it's like, okay, yep, I'll go ahead with that. But then I go, how did I end up with a really bad negative bill, even though I didn't expect it? And then I go back to that whole thing. It's like, oh yeah, there are these space saucers hovering about above our major cities.
Yeah.
And then I go, it's like, okay, that is getting silly and stupid. But then I go, it's like, how did I have this much bad luck when I shouldn't have? It is a weird scenario, but I kind of relate and I kind of understand. Although I don't have those. I don't know how to best describe it. I don't have heavy anchorings into the conspiracy or something was silly or something was too off, but
Well, okay. They killed Han Solo in the first episode of their trilogy.
okay, yep.
And then they don't even show Luke Skywalker, and the major droid not only has the two major droids, not only is one of them malfunctioning, but the other one that talks has a red arm, and he makes a big show out of showing that. I mean, at this point, we're totally lost as to why we're even watching this movie, and there's two more in the series.
Because they want to sell you toys.
Is that what they wanted us to do?
No. I think Stephen is onto a little bit here because we as Earthlings, I will have to put it that way because we as Earthlings, blue, green, yellow, not bad. Red, run away.
No, there's an
And
interesting
what
point.
is BB-8's colors?
He's consumption colors. He's the colors of McDonald's benches.
Well, don't even get me there because I'll have to go into like the Lotus Eaters and Sargon of Akkad, but it's essentially today fast food restaurants don't want you to be in the restaurant. There's like grab your food and fuck off.
Yeah.
Whereas where I grew up with it, Burger King, McDonald's, and McDonald's did take their fucking time, and I know I'm swearing more than I should in a
Well, it's getting
stream.
late.
If it's getting late, and we should be outside of the automatically caught thing, but McDonald's did take their fucking time. I don't think they managed to establish a foothold in Scandinavia until like the very late of the 1990s. Everybody in Scandinavia knew about McDonald's since like 87, 88, somewhere, wherever it was. But it didn't manage to actually plant a restaurant, a solid restaurant, until after 95. So I'm giving that as like, how do you control the population? And that is what V is all about.
Well, gentlemen, these topics that we're bringing up in these final hours are extremely interesting, but
Final hours.
we're
yeah.
now 22 minutes into closing the show.
There's never a closure to this show, but there is okay, my energy is draining, and we are always appreciative of people's mental health, the rest they require, and everything, so that they can come back swinging the next time we go live.
Mm-hmm.
So never apologize. And this goes for any one of those that have already dropped. Never apologize if you need to drop out early. We understand. We're here for you. And we want to hear your opinion. We want to know what you think. and you will never be wrong as long as you're obviously not swearing and cursing and calling in the SJW brigade on us and have us cancelled. But with that, both Colin, Stephen, very interesting, and I know I tried to show the tech gear was getting, but I didn't feel like I got to show it. But I hope you got the gist of what I'm planning for the future.
Yeah,
do
I
you
did.
have any do you have any last words from your end?
Check out the I'll be posting in the Let's Talk Geeky group, but otherwise Roman's got his own group that I'm sure you guys are also a part of. If not, we'll make that happen. But we'll be posting to Twitter, and we'll be Monday and Thursday as usual. Colin and I are going to try and captain the ship on Tuesday. We'll talk later on or at some later date about that, but we'll be posting about that as well. Beyond that, we'll have to see,
Yep.
But
And what
lovely
about you,
chat.
Colin?
I've got to spend the next couple of days. Well, tomorrow I'm going back 600 years in time for I've got to practice, but then Monday and Tuesday, I guess I'm going to have to try and go back 1,000. I'm going to go back nearly 2,000 years and try and actually catch up on plebs.
Well, it's the same for me. From you, Stephen, you were just rounding out a few recommendations.
Oh, I just wanted to say to the chat, thanks for being here. You guys have been fantastic. I mean, this chat is just, God, I wish we could transcribe this chat and publish it. Some of the stuff being talked about in the chat is awesome, as usual.
You're telling me it's the second time I'm captain of the vessel. It's like, holy crap, everybody's behaving. It's like, what am I doing wrong? I should literally have it should be a fire in the engine room. There's like explosion in the bow of the ship. There should be like cargo flying off the rails. But no, everybody's been amazing.
Mm-hmm.
Well, they say third time's the charm, mate. So next time you're in charge.
No. I've done my first two. Next time I'm handing it off to either you, Colin, Stephen, or Alex.
You do a fine job, Jim. Don't cut yourself short. I hope you've been taking notes on sharing and how to share screens and move stuff around. But you could always go back in the stream and recall it that way as well. But you did a fine job last time. You did a better job even this time. You're more relaxed because you've done it before. And it just gets easier and easier and easier.
Yep.
Not going to give away the secret. Maybe if it's about the 15th time, I will give away the secret. But for today, I will say thank you so much for the guests here, Stephen, Colin, everybody else that joined. It's always such a good time to just relax, chat with people that can respect your opinion and still counter with their opinion without just like, oh, I'm gonna go after your fucking tax office, and it's like, you'll be fired. It's like, I'm gonna put your dog in a kennel. It's so nice to have healthy conversations with people that may not exactly be 100% on board with what you like.
Mm-hmm.
And this is why I love this channel. It is, you can have that conversation, which you should have, which is what I was brought up in the 90s. There's also the fact that we're across the globe. Okay, yeah, me and Colin, we might go, it's like, oh, it's not really midnight. Well, we're gonna have a gin and tonic, fall asleep. But you, Stephen, I believe you're
3:30 in the afternoon.
Well, you're good enough to get started.
I,
But
and I
you're not
started at
exactly
noon
going to
with no
have one.
lunch.
Well, there you go. But you're not exactly going to like, okay, I'm going to have like a small shot of whiskey and just pop to bed. You
No,
got about 6 hours to go before it's even viable for that. But
that's right.
the
And
fact,
a couple of live streams I may join this evening. A couple of shows I'm definitely going to catch before my night is done. I got my big puppet show tonight, the Cotton Council with Snow Dub Live. Yeah, there's stuff going on. There's a lot of action here on the West Coast still, or in the greater West Coast area, because a lot of these guys are Arizona and Texas and Nevada and stuff like that. And of course, all my Canadian friends as well on the western side of the continent. We're going to be chatting till the wee hours of the morning, just like last night. So yeah, plenty of stuff going on.
I definitely need to catch up on those streams, but it's sadly that 6 hour gap between UK and US. I literally wish they were closer, but do keep pinging them in the Twitter chats and everything, and I will try to just watch in because
Yeah, and if you're ever at a loss for where to find some of these things, if you just check my my timeline on Twitter, I usually have retweeted most of the places where I'm going to or I have been, and you can find them that way. It's basically Twitter and YouTube for me, so it's an easy connection.
that sounds very good. Right, Colin, anything to round it up before I will push the end broadcast button?
No, really. Thanks for listening, folks, and have a good enjoy the rest of your weekend.
That's right.
And hopefully,
Crack shot to
see
you, Colin.
Tuesday or Wednesday.
Right. Thank you so much, gentlemen, lady spoons, bugles, whatever PJ says. I am actually
Whatever
here.
you identify as.
Trust me. Yes, this is me. But Stephen, Colin, all I can say is thank you so much for being part of this stream.
No problem.
Good night.
Good night.